you're tired of being so confused. You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop arguing me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dude.
Hey, want to go ahead and welcome all the people on Instagram. We finally got our broadcast to be a vertical 9x16, so you probably are seeing it for the first time. We will have full 16x9. Just the center video is playing in that condition, but we'll be back just in a second. Welcome to all of our Instagram followers. And Instagram people, make a comment. Say something. I mean, everyone in chat can see you. We would love to see you guys. Thanks. Whoops. Well, I guess I forgot to do that. Here, I'll throw one in real quick. I forgot I redid all the cells.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
What's up, Houston? Welcome.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Man, we are booked till June. I think we're actually booked till June 14th. We're starting to, might have to consider going to 2 guests a week, but at least once a week right now is fine. Let you know, Adam and Beth Coogan will be here tomorrow. January 6th, Adam fled the FBI and the federal government after J6, and after 3.5 years was pardoned. Met his wife while he was on the run. He's going to be on the show. Should be an interesting conversation. Barry Morgenstein, April 22nd, the greatest photographer known to man. Damani Felder, he is a staple. He's on the show now once a month. Jeremy Mitchell, right hand to Jessica Lynch, and Chris Tanto Peranto is a hard charger and does a lot of great stuff. He's going to be on. T.S. Dixon will be here too, one of the best books you can read, which is The Woke Mind Viruses. And then Ryan Weaver, our good friend, Liv just reached out and said, hey, Ryan, you want to come on? And he's like, done, which is always a good thing. So, folks, we are open with donations. You can go to thedumbshow.com/donate. And Hayden is on tip duty tonight, just FYI. So be nice to her. It's her first time running solo on tip duty, so she's a little nervous. So just FYI. Leroy, give everybody a quick introduction for those people on Instagram who have no idea who the hell you are.
Absolutely. So my name is Leroy Jenkins, and that's a code name. I am still an acting member in the intelligence community, so that's why the subterfuge, right? I don't use my real name for now. I've got about another 1.5 years before I can use my real name and retire. But I'm a 22-year Navy veteran, and I also contract in the United States government. So there's a lot there that I feel like I can have an opinion on. I just can't let it be known that these are opinions of the United States government. I am not the United States representative government for my opinions, and that has to be known.
Well, thank God. My name is Matthew Spear, former intelligence as well, contractor and corporate executive for 3 Fortune 15s. So Comcast, Apple, and then I guess Fortune 15 is a little much when I say limited brands, but limited brands would definitely be a top 5 retailer. But yeah, so I guess 2. Well, no, because it was NBC and Comcast, which kind of qualifies. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The point is no longer doing that. And no longer in the retail establishment. I did that for a long time and did it all over the country and world, actually. And Leroy and I did not know each other in the military, even though we were in the same time. And most ISs know each other, but it was like two ships sailing in the night, no pun intended. But we met through the show, and he's been a long host of the show for quite a while. So welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. It was born real simple. We were during COVID going through it, and I came out to Virginia from Texas for a great gig out here. And then COVID hit 6 months after I was in the job, and they said, we're going to have to let you go. So I reinvented myself, went for another construction company, worked with veterans, and created this show because one of our long life family friends said, you can't be our friend anymore because you voted for Donald Trump. Your wife did. And we created the Don't Unfriend Me show off of a video that we made. And here we are. It's now turned into a 450,000 person network. It is all over the place. We're getting great guests. And this studio that you see was purchased by the Don't Unfriend Me Nation. And we did a huge guess a telethon type thing. We raised over $20,000 and had one of the best nights we've ever seen. And we created this studio. What's up? The pop-up. Okay, I'll take care of it. Was it Angela Hills? I'll take care of Angela. Angela, sorry the pop-up didn't show up, but we love you.
Matt, do you think we should preface all of this by saying that, we're kind of a right-leaning but moderate opinion givers kind of show, just to kind of prime the pump there and let everyone know that we tend to lean right, but it's also if Donald Trump makes a bad call, I would be more than willing to call that out.
I don't know if we lean right. Houston's replying and typing. Good job. Thanks, buddy. I don't know if I would say we lean right anymore. I don't know what that means. I don't know what being a conservative means anymore. I'm a constitutionalist and a minimalist. And
I think that means you lean right?
No, not really anymore. Because let me ask you a question. This is a great intro to the show tonight. What has the Republican Party done for, let's just say, the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment is under blatant attack. Today, Spanberger signed the bill. She's pushing it forward, which no longer recognizes any concealed carry courses. So concealed carry in Virginia essentially is going to go away. Now, we can understand that the Supreme Court's going to strike this down, but they also changed the Electoral College. The Electoral College vote no longer applies towards the national election unless they win the popular vote. I mean, this is unconstitutional crap. Where are the Republicans? What are they doing? Where are the conservatives? Why aren't they speaking out? Why isn't Youngkin here? Where's Kevin McCarthy? Where are the Washington Republicans coming down into this state and getting people to vote? They're nowhere to be found. So I don't know, dude, if I recognize the right as constitutionally sound. Now, do I feel that they are attacking the Constitution? No, but I feel that there is a group of people who are on the left, and we're not doing anything about it. Get your thoughts.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think that if the Republican Party itself is not representing the people who lean right, then I have to question whether or not the Republican Party itself still represents people who lean right, or has it become so far moderate that it's borderline leaning left, and they just simply don't care.
Well, let's ask the question: what do we consider right? Do we consider right to being right of center, or do we consider right being Donald Trump?
I consider right leaning to be right of center, but that's a great point.
Yeah. So here's my issue is that right, I believe, is whatever becomes what's necessary based upon societal norms and political ideology. So the conservatives, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s represented liberals. We were all about socialized medicine, expanding Medicare, bigger government. We learned our lesson and then, rejected that type of policy. But we have altered where we are and how we present ourselves, the classic GOP. We weren't always small government. We weren't always less tax. We weren't always defense first. We weren't always border first. So we've made changes based upon the societal norms. So right now, the right has to identify with MAGA. It has to identify with Make America Great Again. It has to align with no forever wars, but intervention when necessary. Otherwise, a nationalist standpoint, small government, secured borders, supposedly balanced budget, less spending, fiscal responsibility, all of the things we would anticipate and been told.
Right.
And that's fine. So let's ask the question, are we getting those things? Yes, we've seen the legislation push forward, but are we getting it from Congress? And the answer is no. The SAVE Act is not passing. We're not able to make recess appointments. These federal judges are not getting appointed. Donald Trump's legacy is going to be hatcheted with executive orders like Biden did in 2020. And everything that Donald Trump has gained will be reversed. Just like everything Governor Youngkin has gained because of EO and executive orders, which are orders through a gubernatorial channel, which is completely different than the president, but it's still a state-mandated EO, were just repudiated and revoked by Spanberger, and she just took it all and wiped it away. Same thing's going to happen.
That's fair. And, when we start talking about the big topics that separate the two parties between the economy, immigration, abortion, taxes, and the Second Amendment, if you're on the left side of things, then you are basically pro all forms of immigration. You want abortion to just, it's a woman's body, woman's choice kind of thing. Taxes, you're in the crowd with the tax the rich, right? And then the Second Amendment, where you think, no, guns kill people and they need to be strictly regulated. And the economy, which is almost never a consideration for the Democrats unless Bill Clinton was in charge. And he actually did an okay job, right? But to be on the right of all of those topics means that those seem to be things that you handle more so within your own home, right? The government can't tell you how to defend yourself. That's kind of the basis for the Second Amendment. If you believe that, but they do. But abortion is another great one. If we believe in the Declaration of Independence, anybody who leans right, then you have an ultimate right to life. And in order to have that ultimate right to life, it has to come from the idea that everyone's pro-life. So there's an element of that, not that there's some give and take on that. Immigration, I think everything should be legal, right? So I don't know. There's a lot to go through, I guess, in those topics.
No, I don't listen. What we want and what's true are two different things. Okay. So what do I want? I want conservative principles. I want to follow Christian ethics. I want to follow nationalism through interventionism if necessary. I want to follow limited government. I want to follow a decreased taxation and a balanced budget and all of these things. But truly, are any of those things happening? No, they're not. And my issue with that is that you've got a Congress which is feckless and are not doing their job to codify the mandate that we do have. And I think we're going to feel this very quickly in the midterms.
I would agree with that.
Interesting. We have a troll. You won't be addressed because you're just blah 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 blah. But you can call into the show. You want to call in and have a conversation. I notice you're espousing all of the talking points from CNN and MSNBC. Would love to address each one of your points. So Ludger Herbert sounds fake. Why don't you call? And would love to have a talk with you. Otherwise, you're going to get blocked because we don't spam chat. And you've posted 12 times in a matter of 3 minutes. So either call in or pound sand. And the thing is that you've got to actually have some stones and some conviction, because if you really are truly an innovator of thought and you're this free thinker that you think you are, you should be able to go ahead and correlate that into conversations. And that's all we want to do is have a conversation.
That's a really great point, too, because we've spoken about this on the show before. We can be socially liberal, but economically conservative. And I think that's another kind of one of the arrows that's in our quiver,
Yeah, no. And I would consider myself socially But I think most conservatives are socially liberal, and liberal's not a bad word. We've turned it into a bad word, but socially liberal means the old adage that conservatives had for decades hundreds of years was, maybe not hundreds, but in the last 50 years is whatever you do in your bedroom is your business. I mean, that's what it's all about. I noticed you didn't call Loogie. Were you planning on, I'm sorry, Ludger? Is that your name? Ludger? I noticed you didn't call like most people who are spamming. You just, I don't know.
I wonder if his first name is Herbert.
Herbert Ludger. I mean, it's a strong name. I mean,
doesn't that sound more appropriate? Yeah.
I don't know. Or Ludger Herbert. Maybe his parents were dyslexic. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think his mom and dad loved him. But he's not going to call in. It's just typical. Isn't it funny how you guys never have the stones? You can troll, but as soon as somebody addresses you, you guys run for the hills. But that's okay. We expect it from the educated party. You would get worked anyway. It's embarrassing. Trump versus the world. This is a good segue. Listen, I'm not bitter. I'm literally seeing the Constitution of Virginia being ripped apart, and nobody is doing anything about it. Nobody. And my thoughts are, where's the NRA? Where millions upon millions of dollars given to the NRA? Where are they? Where are the lawyers? Where are the injunctions? I just don't see it, man. And I'm a little tired.
How many times can something go in front of a state where, future lawsuits get enacted and the Supreme Court has to step in and basically say, no, that's not what the Second Amendment means. It means that this person has the right to defend themselves. And by the state telling you can't carry within the city limits of New York, that's clear overreach. How many times do we have to have these types of lawsuits?
Yeah. It doesn't. Why is there 32,000 pieces of legislation with the word gun in it?
Right.
Waiting.
Right.
I mean, so it's already the most regulated amendment. We've done this before. The only amendment that hasn't been touched by modern day politicians is the Third Amendment, which is the quartering of troops. Because there has been no but if you think it wouldn't get amended, if all of a sudden there was a ground war in the United States, you're damn skippy. There would be. You know what I mean? I mean, they would be, excuse me, we're going to 7th Cav. Come on over here. I should go ahead and stay in Leroy's driveway. And I'm sure they would find a way around that too. But this is the issue. It's just, I want to see action. But all we're seeing is this hurry up and wait. What are you doing? Why aren't you codifying these executive orders? What are we waiting for? Folks, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't had a chance. We're going to get into it. Trump versus the world, first video. Pretty good one. Kind of dives into what's been going on. Man, why do all the trolls, why are they such cowards? I just don't understand. This is an interesting topic because we're going to talk about this video. Let's do this one first because this will describe Ludwig von Hammerstein. What was his name?
Ludger Herbert.
I don't remember what his name was. Ludger. But this is interesting. Let's do this first. This is a good one because this will tie into what we were just about talking about. Joe Rogan had a guest on today, and they were talking about anxiety in children. Different. That anxiety with conservative girls is actually less than anxiety with liberal boys. And they've done studies. Oh, this is really interesting, man. Listen to this. Luigi, that was his name. Luigi von Hammermark. Yep.
Getting a Super Mario's vibe there. Yeah.
Very much so.
That's an interesting statistic that you were saying that. So conservative families have less depressed kids. Is that what you're saying?
Apparently, boys from liberal families have higher anxiety rates than girls from conservative families.
But above, if you just looked at the norm, more girls generally have anxiety.
Right.
But in conservative families, girls are less anxious than boys from liberal families.
That's right. And, I mean, we could speculate as to why. There are lots of proposed reasons for that. But one of the many, things that we might, first of all, we know it's in the environment at that point. It's not an organic, whatever these kids are going through, it's not organic, right? So we know it's something we're pouring into their life. And I think one of the things might be that, aside from the fact that parents in conservative families may be more comfortable asserting their authority with kids, and that's an old finding. We've known for generations now that authoritative parenting meaning not cold parenting, not cruel, not unloving.
Rules.
But rules. Those kids have better mental health. They're happier and they're more successful in all kinds of ways. So it may be something to do with comfort with rules, but also they're less likely to turn their kids' lives over to a mental health expert.
So what is the speculation as to why rules alleviate anxiety? Is it because there's structure? There's more structure to the world, so things seem less open-ended and less chaotic? And
that's right. I think it's something to do with that. Kids need guardrails. They know they're not ready to be in charge. Parents today are so
Sounds like a couple people without kids.
quick to put kids in charge. What do you want? Where would you like to go to school? What would you like to eat for dinner? Putting kids in charge. But we've known since the 1960s. Diana Baumrin did this research years ago, and it's some of the sturdiest research we have because they've replicated it hundreds of times, and they've shown that loving parents who are also rule-bound, they call them authoritative, not authoritarian, which is the cold, unloving rule-bound, but the loving and rule-bound parents tend to raise the happiest kids because kids knows there are guardrails. And here's the thing. The people who are making the rules aren't some expert mom hired. They're the people who love me most. They're my parents. They're the ones in charge.
That's what works. Beating your children on a regular basis. That's what gets it done. So Leroy, take it on, man. What do you think? I mean, your kids aren't retarded like mine. So what do you think?
First of all, I don't know if we can make that qualitative difference between yours and my children, but I will say this, that there's a lot to unpack there. Is it that girls mature faster? Even in liberal households or conservative, if girls mature faster, then that might throw off the study some. But I can see where a conservative family, and especially girls in conservative families, are probably more likely to go to church, some sort of organized religion. I can see that. I think that boys would tend to struggle with that more. And that certainly in conservative households, there is some level of structure that is implanted in the house as well. Whereas liberal families, they a lot of the kids, maybe they struggle to get first time. And this is me spitballing, folks. I don't have any evidence. This is just me spitting out my thoughts. But I can see where a lot of kids who grew up in liberal households, they tend to be the ones who struggle to find work because of anxiety, or they struggle to find themselves. So there's a lot there that she said that I agree with. I would love to hear more of the scientific evidence.
Yeah, like my first instinct is, I think we've mentioned just about everything, but the one thing I will say is I don't think age necessarily, maturity creates less anxiety. I believe it would create more. I think when you have cognitive dissonance, you're less likely to feel accountable or stressed out about whatever situation you're in, because you don't practically apply it to your everyday, and what Hayden said it best in her speech. When I was a kid, I didn't need God because I didn't have any problems. Everything was great. And I was playing all day and having a great time. But then when I got older and the more mature I got, I needed a place to kind of get answers that I didn't have that were creating anxiety and stress for me. So I don't know if age is the thing that would help that. I think there's a portion of it. I'm not disagreeing entirely.
Yeah.
I think there's something that needs to be said about the following, which is disappointment and failure are stepping stones and teaching tools on how to recognize success and how to adapt to disappointment, which is where anxiety comes from. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to have black mold in my AC ducts. And I just had this many thousands of dollars for taxes and this many thousands of dollars for my AC. And I got 2 birthdays coming up and I've got anxiety. And I think with conservative families, instead of saying you can be anything you want, where you get that in the left. And then the expectation is for you to achieve that because you can do it. All you got to do is just say you want it. You can get it. If you want to be a girl, you can be a girl. If you're a boy, you want to be a CEO, you should get that right out of college. I mean, this is what leftists say. You can do anything you want. You can be anything you want. And conservatives are like, when my kid said to me, I want to be an astronaut, I said, there's not a fucking chance, Hayden. Your percentage of you becoming an astronaut is 0.000000012%, but you can be an astrophysicist. You can do this, you can do this, you can join the military, be a pilot, you can do all these things, and you can aim for that, and you can check 70 boxes on your pathway to become an astronaut and maybe not reach it, but you could have a very fulfilling career doing that. And then she's like, well, that's, okay, Dad, thanks. That's reality. Just like I didn't say, well, I want to dress up like a boy and wear a football jersey. And I'm like, well, we better go get those boobs lopped off and get you some hormonal treatments to make sure we turn you into a boy. I think there is a very toxic and dangerous element to parenting on the left that it's almost innocuous. There's no. They go on job interviews with these kids.
Yeah.
They let them live there till they're 30. I mean, they've become their best friend. And I just think that conservatives probably treat their daughters in a more challenging way than they treat their sons. And why do we have a shit ton of effeminate males? This is why.
Right. Did you ever see the movie called Whiplash? It had J.K. Simmons in it.
I so want to watch this movie. I've seen it, and I'm like, dude, I've seen the way he acts, and I'm like, God, what a jerk. But I'm like, I know where he's coming from. I want to watch this. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason I'm asking it. And there's a point in the movie. The whole movie, he's very abusive towards his students, right? He's very demanding, absolutely beyond the stage of abusiveness.
Don't spoil, because I'm going to watch it tonight because I want to.
I won't spoil it, but there comes a point where you realize at the end of the movie, and I will say this, he sits down and he's talking with one of his students. He goes, there's no two more damaging words in the English language than good job.
Yeah, good job. Yep, I agree.
Because what that does is effectively it makes it so that someone would say, all right, I did a good job. I don't necessarily have to practice anymore. I did a good job. This is as far as I need to take it for today. Whereas the people that are really the go-getters, they will practice until perfection is achieved. They will practice until beyond anybody else's level of practice. And that's how you end up, on stages singing songs or becoming an actor, and maybe in some cases, or maybe even getting into politics.
It's a really good point. I did see that clip, and that's what made me want to watch it finally, because I've seen the other ones where he's trying to keep the beat and whatever, and and he's asked him if it's a drag or a role or whatever it is, and he's slapping him, and I'm like, geez. But when I hear the good thing, this reminds me back of the Apple days. So Apple has a belief structure in what is known as positive specific feedback, but with positive intent. And positive intent works this way. When I tell you and I are going to have a conversation, and I'm going to need you to have positive intent. Well, that's a different type of conversation. And positive intent is not for me. It's for you, Leroy, to assume that what I'm going to say comes from a positive and good place. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to tell you you're a soup sandwich at your job and your sit rep is unsat, and your fitness report is unsat, your fit rep, is unsat, here's why. Well, because you're not good at your job. Well, that's negative feedback, but it's not negative specific feedback. And it's not positive feedback, and it's certainly not positive specific. And there's only two types of feedback that are necessary, and it has to be positive specific and negative specific. And what happens is that you purposely have to write your reviews. You purposely have to communicate with people with positive intent. And it's probably the hardest thing for people to get when they work at Apple. because your first reaction when you get negative specific is, oh, screw this, I'm out of here. This job sucks. Well, that's not positive intent. You're not giving me positive intent here, assuming that I'm telling you this, not because I think you're a jerk or a loser, or I'm going to fire you, but because I want to see you get better. So you'll notice that when I say something, I when it comes to positive, I try to go into detail with people versus just be like, oh, good show tonight there, Leroy. And even though I'll occasionally do that through text, usually we'll have a follow-up conversation or there'll be something else. Right. And you want to try to give people that detail. So really good point.
Yeah.
Well, it's an asshole move. It's an asshole move. Good job. So condescending.
And it all comes down to specifics, right? If you don't give somebody the specifics, then they have nothing to correct off of. If you just say, well, you suck at your job, well, all right, that's not helpful. Now, if you were to say, you're lacking, and here's why, and this is what you can do to improve. These are the specific areas. You're not making this number, or you're making this particular mistake if it's somebody on an assembly line. Be as specific as you can, because it gives them that chance to course correct.
Yeah. Yep. Good points. Trump versus World. Well, I will watch that movie. I don't know about tonight. We're watching. We've been going through Tyler Sheridan, whatever, Yosemite, not Yosemite, but Yellowstone, and all of his shows. And I'm not watching Marshall's. That's warmed up dog shit. But we very much enjoyed Yellowstone, and there was another one that he did.
Landman?
Yeah, we enjoyed Landman very much. It's a little silly at times, but it was very good. And then 1923 and 1867 or whatever it was, 1872. Those were ridiculously good. And then,
the Sylvester Stallone series?
Yep. So we've watched Tulsa King, little silly, but still very much we liked it. And we're watching the one right now, and it's like the mayor. The mayor maker. Oh gosh, I don't know. It's got Hawkeye in it from Avengers.
Mayor of Kingstown.
Yeah, very good.
Mayor of Kingstown.
Very good. Very
My buddy's
good.
in the third season.
Oh yeah, that's the one you were telling me about.
Yeah.
So it's very good. It's very, very good. And it took a second, but I really like the play. I can see the power struggles and the hierarchy working here, and I can see how it's gonna come crashing down, and I'm very much see the foreshadowing, and I'm enjoying it. It's very, very good. So and the reason why is because I can't watch Terminalist every week, because I would, because what a great show that is. And did you see this the second one?
Yeah, I did. Taylor Kitsch was
Kish, whatever. Yeah, he was in it.
Well, I had to. He's a chief. He's a chief in the show.
Yeah, did you like it? Dude,
it was good. It was good.
The Jews were in it. Was that the problem?
Yeah, that's my problem. No, when you get to the end of the first season of Terminalist and you realize that he had done this terrible thing to his teams, I felt like when you were watching Lone Wolf, that by the time you get to the end of the season there, I felt like there was still more of a leap that needed to be made in order to justify him turning on his team.
You got to read the books. Yeah,
I don't know how to read.
That's true. But that's the hard part. I hate shows that do that. You got to read the books, Dad. My daughter always says that. And I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. I don't need to read the books. It's still a good show. Trump versus the world, folks. Watch this.
So But I also want to address how biblically stupid the majority of coverage has been on this whole thing in the last 24 hours. Right after Trump sent out this gangster truth about the elimination of an entire civilization, every lib rushed to the camera like, no, we have to stop. We have to have a peace deal.
The only way we're going to get out of this is to have some kind of diplomatic solution.
What I'm hopeful of is that some negotiation is going on that can get a ceasefire and end this war.
They were having a negotiation with the Iranians. They just cut it off, and the next day, we're doing airstrikes into Iran.
We need to end this war now. We need an immediate ceasefire. Iran, Israel, and the United States need to stop bombing and have a negotiated settlement.
Okay. So that was their stance yesterday. Then Trump does negotiate and spares, I don't know, give or take 100,000 people and all their power plants. And then the same people, they come back on and they're like, oh, Taco, like this guy, Malcolm Nance. Oh, Trump always chickens out. But the problem is they go out there reading whatever way the wind is blowing, as long as it's anti-Trump. And then they say it as if it's like some sort of fact. Okay? Do you want peace deal or do you want not peace? Like, make up your mind, guys. CNN probably takes the cake on this. Listen to these 3 clips. Same person, Aaron Burnett, saying 3 totally different, like, material.
So, you get the gist. We don't need to play it for 5 minutes. At this point, I have just, like, I do this all day long. It's the same thing. Pedophile, rapist, liar, embezzler, bankruptee, cheated on his wife when she was pregnant, blah. You know what I say? This is my response now. Your opinion means nothing to me. Nope. I don't care about anything you have to say about Donald Trump. Wait a second. What? You say my opinion? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because I'm an individual. And collectivism is not the way that a republic works. So take your opinion and shove it straight up because I just don't care anymore. Because there's nothing you're going to tell me that I haven't heard. There is not one thing that you can tell me about Donald Trump that I can't debunk. And I put this challenge out to everybody listening. I've got a bunch of people watching all over the place. Call into the show. Tell me something about Donald Trump that I don't know. And I will debunk anything you say. Or I will debunk your position, which is you're pretending that I don't know and that information is somehow going to change my mind.
Yeah.
You can't do it. I promise you there is nobody better at this than me and that is not egotism. It is a simple, cold stone fact. I'll do it better than Crowder. I would have done it better than Charlie Kirk. I will do it better than Joe Rogan. I will do it better than Dan Bongino. I will do better than the chicks on the right who have agreed to have a show, a co-show, Chicks on the Right and the Don't Unfriend Me show. Yes, they have.
I love Mock. Dude, if Mock is watching this, I love you.
They're amazing. But I will lay down my skill set against anybody. I am the Andrew Wilson of defending Donald Trump. There is nothing you can tell me that I don't know. And I just don't give a flying what you think. I just don't care. Go ahead, Leroy.
There is back during Teddy Roosevelt's administration, he had published this amazing poem, and it was called The Man in the Arena. And in that poem, he talks about how it's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs. And when you listen to that poem, you have to understand that that poem translates perfectly today. And all of those critics, they just so happen to have mainstream media jobs, but none of them could do what Donald Trump is doing right now.
It's just so stupid. There's nothing that you can say. And people are like, Donald Trump could go out there and say that he slept with kids and you guys would, no, that's the dumbest thing that you can say. But there's no mortal sin that Donald Trump has committed that you can prove with no equivocation, with exculpatory evidence to demonstrate that there is a mortal sin that he is I don't want to say propagated, that he has executed on the American people or anyone that we're aware of. Now, does that mean that he could have? Sure. And if you have the proof, lay it out. Listen, guys, Eric Swalwell just got boosted and kicked. Why? Same thing with Matt Gaetz. Well, because there was evidence. If Donald Trump, if there was evidence and it was real, he'd be gone.
Right.
There isn't any.
He's the most investigated person ever in politics.
No, in world history. No, tell me anyone else who's more investigated than Donald Trump. Al Capone wasn't investigated this much. The Nuremberg trials combined weren't as more detailed as what they did against Trump. Trump was a $37 million investigation on Russian collusion alone. I cannot. Can you name any person who's been investigated more than Donald Trump? I mean, 97 original felonies is what they placed against him. 97. Can you name another person in history who's had 97 felonies? No, you can't. Even over an entire life of a career. Let me ask you this. How many people do you know who had a $500 million bond?
Right.
$500 million. Pepsi wouldn't get a $500 million bond. This is a single man. And you gave him a $500 million bond. He was at a $9 million payout to $8.6 million to E. Jean Carroll. He then got a warning not to say anything else. Then he did, and they hit him with $92 million. They times the penalty by 10. Never happened in the history of the world. The man is 34 felony counts of the same ledger entry, the one that he didn't even make. It was his bookkeeper.
Right.
The same, which was past the statute of limitations, which Alvin Bragg turned down, the state's attorney turned down, the Department of Justice turned down. And Alvin Bragg, the DA, turned it down. Nobody wanted to touch it. Why? Well, because it was a misdemeanor and nobody cared. Nobody cared.
No.
But once that they found out that he was able to run again and that he was going to win and that he was gaining steam, they changed all the rules. They did Georgia. They did the top secret document scandal. All of it turned to nothing. And now you've got 34 felony with no penalty. There's been no conviction. He's been convicted. There's no sentencing. None. Why?
It's probably never going to happen either.
It's never going to happen. And he's going to appeal and he's going to win. It's pretty simple, folks. It's the most investigated man. Does that mean he's perfect? No. Does that mean that he doesn't do stupid shit and post Jesus Trump memes? And
we just talked about that.
He does dumb stuff. But I don't care.
I talked about that with my cute mate today, and when we were hashing everything over, and I'm going to say he's pretty critical, but he's also like, he understands that Trump is actually doing a good job with regard to a lot of the policy that he enacts. And he's also a very religious man, very smart man. I respect him a lot. So when we were talking about it, I said, hey, did you happen to see this meme? And his eyes just rolled like, why in the hell did he do that? And it's okay to be critical of him.
Sure.
It's okay.
Sure.
It's okay to see that kind of thing and just think to yourself, what the hell?
Donald Trump, it was a doctor. Oh, come on, dude. Please.
No, come on.
You're not. Come on. Please. So we know what it was. We understand I don't care that it was done in February. I don't care that it was Nick Sorter. I don't care that he shared it. You guys, a person with glowing yellow hands, when the heavens are above them, opening up in white robes with red flowing a tunic, which Jesus has been depicted 100 times in that garb. It was a absolute 100%. I don't even know what you would call it. It's not even it's not an analogy. It's a facsimile, I guess is what you would say. It was just Donald Trump and AI created this. Donald Trump's healing the world like Jesus is. And you know what? Who cares? You know what? Is it such a crazy thing to me that, thank God, at least we're talking about Jesus in some sort of way, and at least the left is now defending Jesus Christ. Thank God. It took them long enough. They only killed 67 million babies, but finally the left is talking about God. Good. At this point, I think God's up there, and the marketing department is like, well, Lord.
Right.
Even negative press is a good press, right? And Jesus is like, well, I guess you're right. Ha, 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 ha. I don't know.
Somebody should AI Trump's face with all of the dogs standing around the pool table playing pool and just put Trump's face on each dog.
Right.
And they would still melt down over nothing.
You know what you should do?
It would happen.
I'm going to create a meme and I'm going to send it to Donald Trump, and it's going to be Che Guevara with Trump's face, and he's going to be in a Che Guevara beret, and see, or do him on Stalin. Like it'll be Marx, it'll be Lenin, it'll be Stalin, and you can make him Lenin right in the middle with the Kremlin in the back and the black star. You've all seen the poster, and Donald Trump right in the middle, and watch the left absolutely not know what to do. They'll short circuit. What do they do? Do they condemn socialism, or what do they do?
I mean, socialism is leftism, as is fascism, as is communism. They're all a form of leftism.
And you put the D in defense mechanism, folks. We're at $25. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's 1948, so we're a little shy. So if you have not had a chance, please donate. Go to thedumbshow.com/donate. Also, go pick up some coffee, some hats. Somebody ordered a 5-pound bag today. I don't remember who it was, but thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. I'll find out in a second. And then someone also ordered a 2-pound bag of coffee. Thank you for doing that as well. We appreciate you greatly. Here is the next video, and this is the 2019 impeachment scam. Once again, more ammunition. We're finding out, man, that Walz is like, he's got articles of impeachment. He's got criminal investigations. You got stuff going on with Swalwell. You got stuff going on with Schiff. I mean, there's some bad stuff going on right now. And here we are. We find out that the impeachment plan was a complete scam and setup. Listen to this, and nobody's going to go to jail. Of course not. Here it is.
Let me be clear about several things about the whistleblower. First of all, I don't know who the whistleblower is. I haven't met them or communicated with them in any way.
What?
Let me be clear about several things about the whistleblower. First of all, I don't know who the whistleblower is. I haven't met them or communicated with them in any way.
The video cut off, which is interesting. Bobby Ellis, thank you for subscribing. Let me find that video for you, and we'll come back to that. How about that? How about we go into the Minnesota Angry Man, and then I'll explain to you what happened with this. Minnesota Angry Man. This is the video clip from the news that talked about this guy, and then watch what he did. Here it is.
Chris now goes by the nickname Minnesota Angry Man, and he's using his newfound fame to encourage others to stand up for community too. Ahead of night strikes and protests tomorrow, we asked Chris if he had any words of wisdom to share, and here's what he had to say.
We need some peace and harmony in our state and across our country. We've been dealing with enough tyranny. We're done with that. We need some peace, love, and harmony. Please come out. Please show up. Get off that couch. If I can do it, you can do it.
That guy doesn't look like he's been off the couch. Curtis Law, I think it's Lawthorne, but it's Curtis ordered a couple pound bag of coffee. Enjoy it, my friend.
In March, we can dance, we can sing, we can hug it out, we can swear at the sky.
From the couch to the streets, what a rallying cry there. Love to hear it. Chris now goes.
How come these guys never are around when I am around? I would love to see them. I'm waking up with a headache and a stiff neck this morning due to how violently the anti-ICE activist Chris Ostroshko. I think it is Ostroshko. It's got to be Hungarian or Czech. Ostroshko. I think it's Czech. Shoved me down yesterday. A second angle shows that he had to be held back by 5 men as he continued to charge at me. I didn't speak a word to him all day, yet he repeatedly called me a bitch and very clearly looks like he wanted to violently hurt me even worse than he did. I'm happy to report that the charges will be brought against this man, his wife, and daughter. This is Savannah Hernandez, who is actually in it. She's Hernandez. No, she's not Mexican. She's Filipino, which basically means she's Mexican. And she looks like she's Korean, like the girl from True Lies. What was her name? Tia Carrera?
Tia Carrera, yes.
Oh, smoking. I mean, holy. She's a good-looking woman. Physical assault guy. Here he is, then shows how hard he pushed her. Dude, he could have snapped her neck. I mean, it's no joke, man. Watch this. Yeah, he might be Ukrainian. That's close enough. That's possible. Watch this. Look at her. Dude, that's like whiplash, dude. That's no joke. Yeah. What a fucking...
Guys, it's over! It's over! back the fuck up. It's over. It's documented. She'll get charged. It's over. Fucking kid again. Dude, we love you. We love you. We love you.
Wow. A lot of rage.
She didn't touch your kid. What happened was that she was using 160 decibel whistle, a rape whistle. And if you guys know what 180 decibels sounds like, go get a shotgun and put your ear right up to it, because that's 180 dB. Standard shoddy. She's using 160 decibels, can cause permanent hearing loss, and this lady puts up her hand to get her away. And then you touched me, now I can beat the living shit out of you. This is what these people want. Your thoughts on this, dude? If you were there, what would you do? Would you do anything?
That's rough.
I know.
It's rough. I have a lot to lose, right? But the protector in me does say that I would like to have intervened.
Right.
But the smarter, more sane half of me would just say, get everyone separated, get the people who were most in danger and get them to safety. So it's a rough call, right?
Nothing is the answer. Nothing. I would do nothing. I would do in this day and age. What can you do? I mean, Olivia will tell you. There's times I ran into a place when it was on fire. I've seen people beating the living crap out of a next door neighbor and kicking the door in and going after the guy. A guy essentially looked Olivia up and down and said a very lewd comment to her when we were coming out of the movie theater, and I picked him up by the throat. I would not do any of those things now. I won't even put my hands on somebody. In fact, with a concealed firearm, if I saw a robbery in progress, I would go home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything.
All that CCW is for is to get you home safely. No one else.
That's it. It's ridiculous. You just can't, because you will be like the old adage, if someone breaks into your house, you make sure they step inside, then shoot them. Not anymore. Not anymore. They have to have a weapon. They have to be some sort of it's ridiculous. The law, even castle doctrine, it depends on where you're at. Stand your ground laws aren't even what they used to be. At this point, it's not worth it.
We had some training over the weekend where I work, and one of the guys who was administering the training is a sheriff up in the Columbus area. And he wanted to go over this brand new Pete Hegseth memo that basically says, hey, if you're a service member, but you also happen to have your CCW, and
we covered it.
You are now allowed to bring it on base, so long as it's, but you have to get the base commander's clearance for that.
Sure.
You have to let them know, fill out some paperwork. Great. So he was trying to make the case that, just because you have that doesn't give anyone the right to just, start injecting themselves into certain situations. That is not what that's for.
Nope.
And if anything, if anybody like me or you were to ever intervene, the headline would not read, Good Samaritan does this. In my case, it would be Navy, blah, 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 did this. And
podcaster,
exactly,
Trump supporter, white nationalists.
Exactly. And it would be perceived and pitched in that specific light that would taint anybody's reputation. That's how they would do it.
Yeah, the old adage, but it's better to be judged by 6 or judged by 12 than carried by 6. I agree with that sentiment, but that's not the way it is anymore.
No.
They both have absolute devastating situations can happen from both. I mean, I've seen people's lives completely ruined for self-defense. I mean, just look at that kid, the Marine from New York, who tried to defend them, but that guy was, what was his name? Danny.
Did you talk about the guy, the Marine, who put the homeless guy in a headlock?
Yeah. Look at him. His life's ruined. You think he's going to get a job anywhere? You think Kyle Rittenhouse is going to get a job anywhere? You think they're going to be able to do anything? No, they're toast. I mean, they can go ahead and get a side hustle or do something like that. But no, not a chance. And yeah, Daniel Penny, thank you. So there's no way. You guys are filling my gaps, man. My brain has been off for 2 weeks. I don't know why. Good conversation. Appreciate it. Folks, we're at $25. We've got to get some donations in here. We had a great night last night. You guys all helped out and came through. But what we can't do is then not be able to hit tonight. So if you could help out, we'd appreciate it. TheDumbShow.com/donate. We're not asking for $5. $1, $10 helps out, keeps the show going. We know we're going to hit it, but we're an hour in. We're at $25. Figure out, Hayden just walked in and she goes, I'm sorry. Like, what am I doing wrong? She's doing donations tonight, so you're not doing anything wrong. So, but she's over here thinking it's her fault. So I'm going to blame her the next time she comes in.
Tell her it is. Just lean into it.
I gotta be.
Hey,
what's wrong? I don't want to create anxiety in my kid, because Mo Kana, whatever. California gets absolutely torched. Just watch this. Just completely dismantles. This is an argument. This is how you debate somebody. And listen, real quick. If a woman was being pushed when I'm there, yes, of course I'm going to get involved to the best of my ability. But you guys got to understand, you hit somebody nowadays and they crumple and they go down and they hit their head on the concrete, you're toast. You're cooked. It's just
murder.
My size, my weight, my strength. No, man. I can deadlift 350. You want me to, you want my hands to grab somebody? You want my hands to push somebody? You want my hands to hit somebody? Leroy's seen me. Leroy's no small guy either. I'm a big fucking dude. And any jury is going to be like, bro, you were threatened by this 5'7" soy boy who works at Starbucks?
Come on now.
Probably not. Anyway, but his breath, his Birkenstocks. Watch this.
My frustration is, as a regular, everyday American citizen, I feel that I am more likely to be harmed by Democratic policies such as open borders. Because I'm
for secure borders.
Okay, but in your state, something like 4,600 or so illegal migrants that had criminal records were re-released from jail. So when we're talking about harming Americans, when we're talking about children potentially being harmed, when we're looking into child trafficking, we have to acknowledge that illegal migration is the biggest funnel for child trafficking. So when we're worried about Epstein with a couple of people, and you guys turn a blind eye to tens of thousands of children being harmed by your policies, that's a problem.
We have been for a secure border, but here's what I want.
No one in California can say that they're for a secure border.
Wow. She owned him.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. I've got no problem. I'm here for it. How anyone could say that the border and California is for a secure border. Just how many millions of immigrants that they say, anywhere, 20 million, 21 million is what they're saying, that 6 million are in California. Yeah, you don't get to say that with a straight face. One of those where we don't have a lot to say on it because she said everything we need to, but this is Super Cop. Want to get your opinion on this guy's perspective. This is pretty good.
I'm over here, it's an active scene, and I'm trying to keep you informed as I can, but I'm letting my teams do their work. And we're happy that this resulted in no further officers being injured. We're happy that no citizens were harmed in any way. This gentleman created this situation, and as you indicated with your question earlier, it makes no sense. Not wanted for anything. Which beckons, does he have a mental health issue? Does he just... was he just becoming violent for unknown reasons? We don't know. We may never know the answer to it. But what I can say is he's no longer alive, and that's the way I prefer it. And we're thankful to the community for being so cooperative. We're actually thankful to our media for keeping the information out there. We're very appreciative of Fresno Police Department and their work of intelligence gathering. Porterville Police Department, Visalia Police Department, Kern County Sheriff's Office, they all came to help. And this story is not about him. This story is about our officer. I mean, he created this, and we have a 4-month-old baby that will never know his or her father. This is senseless. I'm angered over the whole thing, but regardless. Any other questions?
Back to the suspect, if we could, for just a moment. The act of running him over, was that intentional? Was that part of the plan?
We intentionally ran him over.
What agency was this?
Kern County Sheriff's Office. Don't shoot at cops. You shoot at cops, we're going to run you over. He got run over. He got what he deserved.
Is there any concern with your officers now going into the house? Or is there concern there could be explosive, booby traps?
We're going to have to check on all of that. We do, and that's a great question. With someone that's so intent on dying, the idea of him having booby traps is a very real scenario. So our bomb team and special dog sniffers will come in, make sure that we don't have booby traps set up. Yeah, a great question, and we will.
I used to live right in that area in Kern County. And I'll tell you that the police don't screw around because they're outnumbered, they're outgunned, and it's not a safe place at all. Bakersfield area, Fresno, it's dangerous. Your thoughts on that? Do you appreciate police officers being so brazen and being so bold?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than some dingleberry out there who's dumb enough to aim a car, endanger a cop's life, anything to be aggressive towards law enforcement. I have too many of my friends, personal friends, who are in that field, and I fear for their safety all the time. And not that every cop is perfect, but the fact of the matter is when you go and try to do physical damage to a cop, when you endanger them, yeah, I'm sorry, man. You are working out of the shallow end of the Darwin pool.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I think whenever we see the Florida sheriffs, they do the same thing, Broward County and everything else, and they're pretty straightforward. And yep, you do this, you're going to get shot every time there's a hurricane. Yep. You steal, we're going to shoot you. We're going to kill you. Pretty much, I'm all for it.
Hell yeah.
What about the rights? No, I don't care about the rights of them. Sorry. Tom Homan speaks on the Pope. This is interesting. You guys know that the Pope and Donald Trump are going back and forth. This isn't the first time that the Pope and Donald Trump. Yeah. Say what?
They're spatting.
Yeah. I mean, can the Pope just do popey things? Just stay out of our politics? We don't care, you know. Just wear your silly clothes and burn your holy smoke and douse it with water and eat wafers in a fellatio style and just leave us alone. I'm sorry, I don't like the Vatican. I don't like the Catholic priests. I'm not a fan. Sorry, and it's nothing against people who follow and love the Catholic faith. I have a good friend who sits on this show who's Catholic, and I have no problem with her. I'm just not a big fan of the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church. That's just me. But here is Tom Homan, who has some choice words for the Pope.
I'm not going to speak for the president. I'm speaking for myself, a lifelong Catholic. I wish they stay out of immigration. They don't know what they're talking about. Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years and talked to a 9-year-old girl that got raped multiple times, or stood in the back of tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens at my feet, including a 5-year-old boy that baked to death, if they understood the atrocities that happened on the open border, I think their opinion would change. And I welcome a discussion with any of them because they don't understand. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. What President Trump had the most secure border in the lifetime of this nation right now. Lives are being saved. He's saving thousands of lives a year because he has a secure border. Human traffickers are out of business, right? The cartels are going bankrupt because of that secure border. I wish they'd understand that, because if they did, I think they have a different opinion.
Sorry, guys, could have get it higher than that. Blame C-SPAN and Tom Homan. That's not my audio; it's theirs. And I wish I could sound check every single piece of audio, but until we do it live, we don't know. But essentially, it came down to this: is if the Pope was at any time was in my shoes and saw the things that I saw, I think the Pope might feel differently. Now, I also don't want to trivialize the Pope. He sees places that with famine, he sees war-torn areas. The Pope experiences disease and, places that are rampant with genocide, and he's seen his atrocities. But when it comes to immigration, Europe is not really renowned for having the stiffest policies when it comes to immigration. In fact, they have the opposite. Their policies are almost locust-like, with letting unfettered and unchallenged immigration into their country. That's just why they're losing it to Muslims. I'm sorry, it's low volume. I don't know what to tell you, folks. Do the best we can here at the Dumb Show. Wish I had a sound guy, but we're at $25, and that's basically going to get me a cups of coffee tomorrow. So you want me to have a sound guy? Help me out. Leroy, go ahead.
I noticed that the Pope seems to have been advocating for open walls and borders, and yet the Vatican has a giant freaking wall that goes all the way around it. And I just think to myself, why doesn't he just open all that up? I mean, if we're talking about keeping criminals out, or maybe in the case of the Catholic Church, they're keeping them in. Obviously, that's a silly statement. Well, walls are there for a reason. He's just trying to dip his toes into a political pond that he probably should steer clear of. Your job as the Pope is to give people guidance spiritually. Your job is to help bring sense to a kind of a crazy world and relay the word of God and Jesus, not to judge individual policies, not to judge the United States or anybody else's leader if their focus seems to be one of protecting their own people, representing their people.
Joanne Townsend. Go ahead. Get it.
Joanne Townsend donated $75, says, thank you, Matt and Leroy. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Joanne. This is all I wanted to say. The Pope Mobile.
Yeah.
Many different iterations over the years. There's been a Mercedes-Benz, there's been Ford trucks, there's been Jeeps. These things are hundreds of thousands of dollars of high-powered engines and bulletproof glass. And I'm wondering, why don't you just have an open bubble top? Why don't you Kennedy this son of a gun? Because if we should just allow unfettered access and we shouldn't check who's coming into our countries, then you shouldn't care about your personal protective detail. Does anyone know the size of the Vatican's military? Does everyone know that the Vatican has a military? They have over 1,000 men at the Vatican. 1,000 men. They have mortars. They have small arms armaments. They have long rifles. They have snipers in place. They have demo teams. They have QRF military spin-ups. The Vatican is one of the most secured places in the world. It's funny that you made the same comment that I was going to make. I had the Pope Mobile picture ready to go. But it's amazing, like very much like liberals. I'm not here to bash on Catholics. I'm here to bash on a man who, in my opinion, already steals attention away from God. I'm sorry.
Right.
I feel that way. Just like I feel the saints do the same thing. And I feel that communion does the same thing. And going into and asking for forgiveness and going into a box with a man who's hearing your sins and confessions and benediction. And I just, I'm not a big fan of the pomp and circumstance and the gold chalice and the stained glass and the temples that are worth millions upon millions of dollars, and the Vatican that has pieces of history and probably has Cortez gold in their vaults. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I'm not. And I think Leroy said it best, when you should preach the word of God and connect and be a conduit between God's word and his subjects. But instead, you keep rewriting the Bible and rewriting doctrine to make it more profound, more fan-friendly to get people to come in. And to me, I think you're spending more time being an amusement park than being the theological lightning rod for the world. That maybe it's just me. We have a caller. Let's see what they think. Who's on the phone?
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I want everybody to look at Acts 17:26
Who is
and
it?
Deuteronomy
Who's on the phone?
32:8.
Who's on the phone? Who is this?
This is Elizabeth.
Oh, Elizabeth, turn down your phone.
Hi,
Turn down the show, buddy. I can't even hear you because you're echoing so
Okay.
bad. All right, go ahead.
Just a minute. Let me get just 1 second. 1 second. I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
You're good.
1 second.
Hurry up, Elizabeth.
I'm trying to get.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Leroy's giving you a hard time, Elizabeth. Go ahead.
Okay. I just went ahead and got it turned down. I want people to look at Acts 17:26 and Deuteronomy 32:8. And the reason being is because the Pope says that he's against protecting our borders, but those two scriptures alone says that we are supposed to protect our borders.
Correct.
Because it is border, and also it's protecting your heart at the same time. And whenever we're
Elizabeth,
supposed to have
one second,
borders,
I got to interrupt.
it also says
Elizabeth, hold on.
Numbers.
Elizabeth, hold on. Lois Bentley donated $21.10. Thank you, Lois. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Sorry, hon.
Lois.
We got to keep up with donations. Go ahead, hon.
It also says in number 34, 1-12, God explicitly defines the specific boundaries of the land of Canaan for Israel, often described as a fortified territory.
Yep.
If God did not intend on us protecting our borders, why did he put it throughout the whole scriptures about protecting us? And yes, I'm Catholic, but I disagree with the Pope on some of the things. I've actually disagreed with some of the other popes. And not everything the Pope says is from Peter's seat. That's what we have to remember, is that not everything the Pope says is infallible.
But why is that? Now, hold on a second. If everything that the Pope's relegated responsibility is what? What is the Pope's job?
To shepherd God's people.
Okay, great. And as a shepherd, you should do what?
Speak the truth and look at what God says.
Okay, so when he says, and he's completely antithetical to protecting our borders and a sovereign nation, even though it's hypocritical and they do it themselves. Right. Last time I checked, Rome didn't completely fall, and the Vatican is still standing, if I'm not mistaken. So if this is the case, and he speaks with God's authority, then why isn't he held to account with every single word he speaks?
Exactly. He should be held to account. Okay. And that's the thing about it, is he should be held accountable. He should be watching what he says. And that is what J.D. Vance said today. He said, Vance called him on the carpet as well, because you know that Vance is Catholic.
Yep.
And he basically said, hey, watch what you're saying. Get out of politics if you cannot hold what the scriptures say to what the scriptures, to what politics are.
Good.
So I don't know if you heard about Jay Vance doing that today.
Yeah, well, I do have a video to show on that, and I'm going to. It's funny that you keyed that up for me, and we love you and thank you for it. Thank you for the call. We appreciate you, Elizabeth, as always.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yep.
Love you. See you, kid. This is a great conversation, because the one thing I love about the Bible is that if you have a question, the answer's there. It's always there. And here is something that I did a little research on. The View, God never said he was a Messiah. God would never claim he was a Messiah. Here is The View and their horrible take, and I've got some scripture and some verses for you as well. Here, watch this.
Yeah, but Jesus himself did not run around saying, I'm the Messiah, I'm the Messiah.
Jesus kind of did say he was the Messiah.
Thomas Austin, hope this helps. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Thank you, Thomas. God bless you. 51.99, amazing, man. 173.09. It helps. Every bit helps. You guys are incredible. We love you and thank you.
Have a little bit of
that's exactly what Jesus said. I am the Messiah.
You know what? No, is it not?
It's been a minute since
Here's the thing. The Pope's got him. He's got God behind.
She just said, I knew Jesus.
Jesus was not narcissistic like this guy.
But when you are the Messiah, it's not narcissism to say it.
Yes, it is.
When you are the Messiah.
I'm going to move this along, because this is like, it's too much for me.
Obviously.
When you don't read the Bible, do you want to hear the scripture, or do you want to make a comment? Let's do scripture first.
Yeah.
John 4:25-26. I who speak to you am he, with a capital H. I directly tells the Samaritan women he is the Messiah. Matthew 16:16-17. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus affirmed Peter's declaration that he is the Messiah. Matthew 26:63-64. You have said so. Confirms under oath before the high priest that he is the Christ. Mark 14:61-62. I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power. Explicitly declares his identity and divine authority at his trial. Luke 22:67-70. You say that I am. Affirms that he is the Son of God when directly questioned. John 8:58, before Abraham was, I am, claims divine identity, echoing God's name, implying he is more than just a Messiah. It's all throughout the Bible. There's just a few. And you can go through on multiple occasions, and there's affirmations of other people calling Jesus the Messiah, and Jesus not correcting. When have we ever known that Jesus would not correct somebody who spoke a falsehood, who was a false prophet? These are the things that Jesus is known for. So for anyone to say that he didn't walk around and declare himself, he was there to bring the message of God, folks. That was his job. And I think a very large part of him being the Son of God is pretty much a real big part of the Holy Trinity, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Leroy, your thoughts?
The ladies on The View, I don't know why they still have any viewership whatsoever. Rarely are they right about anything. And it's kind of like the people who are more than willing to give out advice about what you should do with your life tend to be the worst advice givers in the history of that profession. If you're going to try to pass yourself off as an intellect on a particular subject, in this case, it would be Jesus, religion, politics, whatever the case is. In this case, it was religion. At least know the damn subject matter. Right? Because if you don't read the Bible, if you don't, just take a 5-minute AI search prior to the show if you're going to make a comment like that. Because anything short of that, you just come off as a lunatic.
Or pass the AI and just get it right from the source.
Yeah.
So you can, learn a few things or two, because this book does no harm. I promise you that. This book does no harm. This book does a lot of things, but harm is not one of them. It's reflective. It can be morose at times. It's inspiring. It's dreadful. It's sad. It's happy. But most importantly, it's love. And I think that declaration that Christ is king, or Jesus is the Messiah, or Jesus is the Son of God, is a part of reciprocating the love that he has for us and dying for our sins. You can find that within. So I'm with my friend. A simple AI search would work. A more complicated but an altruistic and more than likely a transformational experience would be to skip the AI and just get yourself the book. It'll probably do you a lot of good. That's just my opinion.
That is fair. That's a good-looking Bible too, man.
Yeah, buddy. It's my good friend Otto Asatuno in Houston who bought it for me, 9 years ago, and I wasn't even remotely a believer. In fact, when I got it, it went right into a dust box. I just put it in the dust box. It's too cool to do anything else with, and it sat there, and it sat there, and it sat there until my daughter wanted to commit suicide, and I started asking questions. So, and it was there for me, and it was a gift from a beautiful friend, and he obviously saw that I needed it desperately, and I didn't, and it was there for me when I needed it the most, which is crazy. I'll tell you, man, I wish I would know what I know today when I was younger. I really do, because I was such, and this is the next topic, it was such a petulant man and a vindictive man, and even most recently, and I'm learning to try not to be that way anymore. And I saw this video, and it ties into this conversation, and I'm still going to make mistakes, but I found this old clip of Candace, and I found it in the most obscure place. And I was thinking about the clips we were going to show and what we're going to talk about. And you notice our shows always have some moments of like a paradigm shift in it, where they just seem to flow in together, even though the improbability of the conversation to have them have that connective tissue is not expected, because Leroy and I don't prepare. But we don't script this. He doesn't know what the hell we're doing. He just comes on. And I don't watch 90% of these videos, but I found this from Candace, and this was on an old YouTube page, and I want you to watch this. Here it is.
From, and I was a bad person. I don't know how to say it. I just was a really bad person, a person that I'm not proud of. And I didn't treat people well. I wasn't true to my word. And I was mean. And that meanness came from an anger, a deep-seated anger. And then...
Well, sister, I've got something to tell you. You aren't far from that now. I've got some things to show here that will kind of put it in perspective. But I think it's to bear false witness is I think a sin that should be focused on a lot more than it should. And I believe Candace Owens, I think there's something really bad about saying, hey, I'm making strides, I'm working towards something, and I feel really good where I'm at, but then literally do nothing of the sort and be the exact same person. That reminds me of a drug addict. That reminds me of a person who's an abuser or an alcoholic who says, oh, no, this time I'm going to quit. This time I'm going to quit, and doesn't. She is chronic. Yeah, attaboy. She's chronically addicted to hatred and anger. And I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing. Watch this parody and tell me, is this accurate? And although we know this is not Candace, I want you to listen to it. And I will even take it a step further and say that Candace never even made those strides. Because you look at the way she treated Ben Shapiro, you look at the way she's treating Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk, you look at the jobs, the way she was with the Daily Wire, you look at the relationship, she's been fired from every position she's ever had. CPAC, Turning Point, doesn't matter. She bears no accountability for who she is, and she blames everyone else. So watch this parody and you tell me, is this humor, or is it just somebody who's a white guy wearing a black wig who pretty much nails Candace 100%? Watch this.
All right, you guys, I have a show for you. Do we have a show today? We're going to be covering what's really going on, because some things just don't add up. They just don't add up. And we're going to take a journey. We're going to take a journey to uncover the truth. And we're so close, you guys. We're so close. We're so close. We're so close. As many of you know, I've been gathering information from my mommy sleuths, those who live near Erika Kirk and around Erika Kirk, and they have told me some very interesting information, some very interesting things that are just bizarre. Sources have told me that while Charlie was alive, him and Erika Kirk actually lived in the same house, and Erika would monitor his every move. They spent a lot of time together. Sources have told me that they even slept in the same bedroom, okay? Which is bizarre. I don't know how you would do that. I don't know how you could sleep and share a bed with somebody. I don't know how you could do that, and that would certainly affect...
What's wrong? Ashla, what's wrong? Come here. Come. What are you worried about? What's wrong?
Catherine Sidman donated $5, says, challenge dummies, let's go. LU, Matt Leroy, and Hayden.
I think it says love you. I think is what it was. I didn't see it. Sorry, my dog just started barking, and she never does that. Find out what's wrong. Hayden, are you okay? Hold on a second, guys. I got to check on my daughter. Well, watch. You took her ball. Oh, no. Give her her ball. She's pissed. I don't care. Give her the ball. Go get your ball, Ash. Oh, so she was coming here narking Hayden off. So she stared at the close the door. She stared at the TV. She barked. She's telling me that Hayden, our dog brings us things throughout the house. Like she'll find lipstick or she'll find a piece of camera cord. She'll bring it to us and so it doesn't get ruined. But she's saying, I want to chew this. Can I? And then if you say no, she goes, you thank her. And then she's very smart. So Hayden took her ball because she was squeaking and she was tattletaling on Hayden. And she got her ball back now because Dad jumped in. That's my dog, dude. That's my dog. Here's the rest.
Your sleep. But Charlie was controlled. Charlie was clearly controlled. Apparently, Erika cooked for him. She cooked him meals, which means not only was his schedule controlled, but his diet, the very food that he would eat, was monitored and controlled. Okay? To have somebody in the same house as you all the time, monitoring your every move, controlling what you do, controlling what you eat for breakfast, for lunch, and diner. All 3 meals, okay? Something doesn't feel right. Doesn't add up. Other sources close to the Kirks informed me that Erika and Charlie would engage in these rituals in which they would literally exchange bodily fluids, okay? In some
lunk,
yeah.
breakfast, and diner.
Sort of experiment to try to make children. They would try to make children in this satanic ritualistic way, okay? This was some sort of act, some sort of experiment, likely funded by Israel, funded by the Mossad. They would do this to create human beings, especially children. This was obviously, it's so obvious. This was some sort of trafficking ring that Erika Kirk was engaged in her own house, using Charlie in order to create people, to create children. And this is just bizarre. I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would exchange bodily fluids. I don't know why you would engage in these acts. It just seems like a waste of time and supplies. But something's going on here. Something doesn't feel right. And this is just weird. This is just bizarre. And I know this because I'm married. I have a husband, okay? And obviously we do not share a bedroom. We do not share a house. We live separate lives, which is normal. And it's normal. Tune in next week, guys, and I'll teach you how to make him a sandwich.
So you control your husband's food too?
Darling, just the sausage in a bun, please.
Oh my God, it's so good. I know we got comments on it. We're going to try to get him on the show. Bongino chimes in on this subject. We've got 2. Just need to watch this. Perfect. I want to get him on. He's great.
This led to her security team's assessment that they couldn't guarantee her safety. Noting the event was fine.
So what we're talking about here is Candace Owens put out this. Listen, dude, this chick is going to get Erika Kirk killed. And I've said this, it's dangerous what she's doing, but she tried to do a TPUSA event last night. They had to wave her off. And she went to Georgia instead, but there were serious death threats against her, JD Vance, and she waved off. Candace Owens was like, oh, please. Your event was low key. There weren't enough people there. It was a failure. TPUSA is dead, and you're just hiding. Then he talks about making innuendos that people need to stab her in order to see that she's a robot today. Candace Owens is completely up. I can't put it into any more words. Here's Dan Bongino cooking her ass.
Secret Service had it, and the VP was there, Vice President Vance. But the travel schedule, ladies and gentlemen, if there was a definition of pure unadulterated evil and demonic-like behavior.
Stephen Jackson donated $21, says, Hayden, you're doing all you can. Didn't want to say good job. Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
I see what you did there. That was good.
Positive, specific. I love it.
I'm sorry, but this is it. Doxing this woman's travel. I mean, at what point, how have we, as evaporation of trust evaporated so much that this is considered acceptable amongst a small cadre of lunatics, that a woman who saw her husband, with children, by the way, who saw her husband brutally murdered on television by an assassin's bullet, is now the target of her own threats by people claiming to be on, quote, like our side? This is not our side. I don't want any part of any freaking club like that. Do you understand? I want nothing to do with it. Count me out. Not interested. No matter what. I'd rather talk to one person on this live stream right now than sit here and say I'm a part of this bullshit. Thankfully, we have 12 minutes in, 42.7 thousand. Filled up a stadium there.
But you can throw some my way.
Right?
Folks, we see this violence everywhere. And this is an uncomfortable conversation to have because you can never see violence and threats to Erika Kirk or anyone else as the pressure valve, because the only logical conclusion to all of that is anarchy. Is it not? If we cannot openly talk to each other and debate these things, and this is not some effort to like virtue signal or we should just talk. That's not me. I'm a realist. I understand sometimes, especially when it comes to nation states versus each other, talk time runs out. It happens all the time. You're seeing it right now in Iran. But when we're on this individual basis, debating people with ideas, and your first response is to punch someone in the freaking or kick them in the balls or punch them in the face, that only goes to one spot. Sooner or later, somebody tougher than you is going to come along and beat the shit out of you too. This is not the animal kingdom.
Here is Ben Shapiro, and then we'll do comments for Leroy and I.
Who do you think is monitoring Erika's travel? Who do you think is doing that? Do we have any clues? Do we have any clues? Well, I mean, Candace Owens has been saying that her followers are supposed to follow Erika and give tabs on. I wonder, where could this have come from? Megyn Kelly has refused to condemn Candace Owens on this topic in any way, shape, or form. Now, Megyn, of course, will lie and claim that my criticism of her on this matter has something to do with Israel, but you should go back and listen to the prior sentence again. Israel was not in that sentence of Erika. And by the way, the same is true of Tucker Carlson, because this entire conspiratorial grievance party worldview, it is all one. Here was Tucker Carlson over the past few months defending Candace Owens over and over and over again. Here he was with Theo Vaughn, who will come up again shortly.
Do I trust Candace more than I trust your average DOJ official? Are you joking? It's not even close, dude.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
But he trusts Candace. So again, presenting full-scale support for Candace Owens as she turns Erika Kirk into a punching bag after Erika's husband was murdered in front of everybody. So why are people, threatening Erika Kirk? Why are they following around her plane? Why? I can't imagine. Literally yesterday, by the way, while all of this was going down, Buckley Carlson, Tucker's brother, who travels with Tucker and joins the show sometimes as a commentator, tweeted in defense of Candace, while Candace was speculating, again, that Erika had no actual security threat at all.
Leroy, your thoughts on this? Want to get your take? I mean, I know we've spent plenty of time on Candace, but I want to get on Erika. Remember, pick up the microphone. Remember, everyone being inspired by this woman's testimony for Charlie Kirk. What the fuck? What else did happen upside of Candace? Would anybody be saying these things if it wasn't for Candace Owens, dude?
So my comments weren't really aimed so much at Erika Kirk. I feel bad for her as it is, but Candace, there was something that I had written down about Candace because I felt it was quite hypocritical. If the Bible's message, right, to Candace was one of to remain humble and to extend love to all of your, fellow man, then you try to square that with her podcast, where it seems to be nothing but a lot of gossip. Proverbs 16:28 and 26:12 emphasizes that, gossip is something that we should not partake in. You're not supposed to do it. And the reason I bring that up is because I get the feeling that when Candace was that first clip that you played, where it was her with the white microphone that was right about here, and she was talking about, her fondness for religion, like she had just found it. I think that was just for the camera. I think that Candace turns that on when there's a microphone and a camera in front of her, but in every other aspect of her life, she does not follow what she says that she follows. And I think that's evidenced by the talking points of her show and the fact that she loves to continue to gossip. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are. I think it's pretty standard at this point that we've demonstrated that she is in this for the clicks, and she has no scruples, no morals. She doesn't, in my opinion, believe in God in any way, shape, or form. And like most people, she's a fake Christian. She's a fake Catholic. She does not resemble anything remotely close to a person who demonstrates the lessons of God.
Right.
And that's very difficult for me to be so judgy, but just show me your contributions. Show me what you do for society. Show what you do for giving back to people. How do you make people better? What are you doing to live vicariously through God's word? I'm not perfect, but what I'm not doing also is risking Erika Kirk's life because you're a jealous, tepid bitch. That's it. You're jealous. You wanted to fuck Charlie Kirk, and he repudiated you and called you a demon. And he gave you some amazing opportunities, and you're a nutter. You're crazier than a shithouse rat.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you can be as beautiful as you want to be, but you are damaged goods, lady. And Charlie didn't want you, and you can't function. And honestly, you need to seek some help. I think you are suffering from post-traumatic stress. I think you seeing him murdered has mentally just made you fly off the cuckoo's nest. I think you need psychological help. And somebody needs to put her in a clinic because this chick is going to get somebody killed. And she's nuts. She's every bit as nuts as Britney Spears is.
Yeah. Can I mention something that one of our viewers just left a comment? Tim Dion says, go back to when Dave Rubin interviewed her when she first came out as a black conservative. And I have to think, if you go back a little bit further in time than that, it was John Stossel who originally found her. John Stossel, who was a libertarian, basically found that her videos were getting some level of traction because there was a comedic value to them. Her first set of videos made it sound like it was easier to come out to your parents as gay than it was to come out to your parents as a conservative. I think that was all an act. I think that she was just trying to pawn that off and make it kind of a funny, right? But when John Stossel found that and said, look, you've got 1.2 million views or whatever it was, right? She leaned into that to say, oh, I am a conservative. I am the next great conservative kind of thing. And I think that was a label that she just walked with it because it was earning her clicks and earning her paychecks as she went along.
Next one. Sorry, guys. I got some things going on the side here. But Judge, four-time loser. You guys remember this, Judge. Folks, we are desperately in need. We're at $199.09. Steven Jackson gave $29. We're $100 shy of goal. Really want to hit it. Judge, four-time loser. This is a judge we've covered on this show many times. And, man, they absolutely undressed him. Like, they just this is like the genital cuff on Ruprecht, the monkey boy. They basically said, dude, you're interfering with federal and the executive branch, and you need to stop. This is a cease and desist, essentially, for this judge. Listen.
Appeals court just told the chief judge for the D.C. federal court system to stop harassing the Trump administration. That's really not an oversimplification. They accused this judge of abusing his discretion, of engaging in an improper, inappropriate investigation, of basically meddling in the executive branch's ability to make decisions on national security issues. And this all stems from that incident that I'm sure a lot of us remember when the Trump administration deported members of Tren de Aragua to El Salvador. A judge said, turn that plane around, or, you can't turn them over, bring them back. And then they didn't. And this judge found them in criminal contempt for not complying with his order. This federal appeals court pretty much smacked him down and said, you were wrong to hold them in contempt. They didn't even violate your order. And now we're going to issue something called a writ of mandamus, which is an extraordinary remedy that is the court ordering another court to do something because the government has no other option.
Right. Well, you know what? No one does.
Thoughts on that, man? We've seen this guy. You've seen him several times. He's been involved. I mean, this should be a conflict of interest. When you decide on one precedent, one case, when it comes to redistricting or when it comes to deportation, this guy's been involved in multiple decisions and shooting Trump down. It's a conflict of interest. And he just basically got bitch slapped. And they said, no, dude, enough. This is Boasberg. He's a POS. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I the fact that the people that were taking these gangsters back to wherever the countries they were coming from, when they were basically doing what they're paid to do, they're doing their job, and for this judge to come in and say, no, you will not do your job, you will do what I tell you. That's more or less the tone that was being conveyed there. I think it was an absolutely proper move for the Supreme Court to come in and say, no. You don't get to do that. You don't get to tell a legal representative of the court system and a law enforcement officer to not do this thing that they're supposed to be doing. That is spot on beautiful to me, because that tells me, right, that there are enough people in higher positions that realize that there are some lower circuit court judges with an agenda.
Yeah.
And that agenda cannot conflict with the laws of the land, which is what happens.
Good stuff. Good interpretation. Good stuff. Here is 3 minutes of, a lot of people have said to me, Matt, I appreciate what you say about Tucker Carlson. I agree with a lot, but the fact that you're saying he's a Muslim, that's a bridge too far.
Not
okay.
Sure.
Here you go. Merry Christmas.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad. I don't know why. It's just like years of brainwashing. I just like travel so much that I see it. There's not a single Western city that's thriving. And they're all degrading in exactly the same way. I'm not Muslim. I'm not for Sharia law. On the other hand, compared to what? Compared to Baltimore? You know, shut up. Because I travel outside the Western world, the white world. I'll just be honest, the white world.
Right.
I travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Whatever it's worth, a pretty fervent Christian, and I feel completely comfortable here in the seat of Islam.
But you go to the Gulf, and it's incredible to be in a place that has pride in itself, that believes in its religion and culture, that thinks we're onto something. This is great. Look at what we're doing. We're really proud of this. Those people are happy. They're welcoming of others. They're tolerant of diversity. It's where they're into things that I'm not into, like, I don't know, polygamy or Islam. And I can sort of look at it and be like, no one's forcing this on me. I'm not mad at you for being a polygamist.
He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. I don't think I'm against that, actually. Anyone who submits to God, like, I'm just for that.
If you have a society in which people bow down before God 5 times a day, I'm not against that. I should bow down before God 5 times a day. And I wish I lived around people who bowed down before God 5 times a day.
The Emirates or Qatar or Saudi Arabia, and you see that when people are self-confident, when they're really pleased with what they're doing.
Yes, the music is a nice touch. Of course it is.
And they believe that their system is the right system. That self-confidence results.
I should have a Pulitzer, an Emmy. I called this charlatan years ago. Candace, Tucker, Marjorie Taylor Greene. All day long. Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. Folks, I don't know what, I got to toot the old horn. I'm sorry.
It's in a kind of welcoming attitude. So you'll be sitting at dinner in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and you'll say, you know, I'm really kind of pro-Jesus. Like, they're Muslims.
They're Muslims.
It's a country governed by Sharia law.
Right.
I mean, and they're like, that's great. People are tolerant and open-minded and happy.
But you should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen. And, you know, if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't.
Oh boy, I hope we don't wind up with that. Sharia law.
Well, in.
Sorry, Sharia law.
I'm not going to take another lecture in my country about, you know, Islam this, Islam that. You're lying. And I don't have to take that anymore. I'm sick of it. Does that make sense?
واضح جدا جدا
It's your boy. Somebody come get your boy.
Not my boy.
He's
not my boy.
I'm not talking about it's your boy, but just somebody come get your boy. He's tripping. Listen, I'm going to make comment. Everything he said is true. I've told you Sharia law, 90% of it is actually essentially our law, but with conviction, with punishment that's actually dealt out, without litigators who stretch the law and stretch the word, and progressive DAs who let people out and lower misdemeanors and trade bargain because they're overwhelmed and overworked. Sharia law actually works in Middle Eastern countries, 90% of it. It's not the 90% I have a problem with. It's the 10%. And I also believe about 20% of socialism is actually some very based and probable work for communities, townships, and cities and municipalities that can actually work at the local level. There's
in a small enough society, yeah.
Of course, yes, a very small society. A town of 500 can benefit from sharecropping and sharing fruits and vegetables like we do here, and eggs and milk and for no cost, and trading goods and services. It works well. The only problem is at some point you have to scale it, and it doesn't work. And then what do? The corruptibility comes in, and the state runs everything. And then ultimately you steal from the poor man so rich man can maintain riches. And once again, we've said it a million times, you have equal portions of something or equal portions of nothing. And every form of communism on the planet is equal portions of nothing. And it's been tried 150 times, and it's failed every single time. Barbara Alexander, donate $27. Barbara, we love you. Keep the dumb show going strong. We will. So here's what it comes down to. He's absolutely right. You can go to Bahrain, you can go to UAE, you can go to Qatar, you can go to these places, and there's some very nice in the cities where he's going to, some Riyadh and etc. But you go out to the provinces or you go out to the village, they are archaic. Rapes happen all the time. And it's not just of women, it's of goats. Yes, they beat their women to death. Yes, they do things that are completely atrocious. But that is similar to China, which also has 9 amazing provinces, but the rest of the place is a rural piece of shit like North Korea. Go ahead. So I don't have a problem with any of that. But what Tucker is completely undercutting, is that unless he shows and demonstrates devotion to Allah and embraces Allah, he essentially is an infidel. And infidels are treated one and one way only in the Muslim religion by Arabs. And this is absolutely an incontrovertible fact. So you cannot be treated as an equal through the Muslim religion if you believe in Jesus Christ, if you believe in God. And if you don't swear fealty to Allah and you don't believe in the Muslim religion, even though that's not going to guarantee you that you will still not be treated like a Westerner or an outsider or an infidel, he's telling you half the story. So the admiration of German life post-World War II Nazi Germany is fine. And you can say that the Germany between World War I and World War II was moving towards a prolific state of unity and sovereignty and nation building until they started fucking killing everybody who disagreed with them. You can't leave that part out. And he does. And it's disingenuous and it's false. That's it. That's all I got. What do you got?
I mean, I was headed down very similar road there.
Holy sugar.
When Tucker talks about the Muslim religions, right?
Read that, dude.
He tends to...
Shane Blakely donated $125. Sorry, dude. You missed it. It must not have come up. It's okay. It didn't come up, but I wanted to get it out there. Shane, thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Shane. That is amazing. First of all, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. And thank you for that donation, dude. That helps out tremendously. God bless you. I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt, Leroy. I really care about what you had to say. Go ahead.
You're good. When Tucker's talking about Islam or anybody who's affiliated with the religions, he tends to focus on, I don't know if anybody caught wind of that, he tends to focus on all of the very, very good things. Sure, you can leave your keys in a Lamborghini because if you get caught stealing a car, they're going to kill you. Sure, you can do this thing over here or that thing. He's leaving out the negative bits of it, right? And there are pros and cons to everything. Now, that being said, I understand that what Matt was talking about with regard to equality, within the religions, yes, Tucker within the Muslim eyes would be seen as somebody who's less than, unless he embraced Islam completely and converted. Now, that being said,
even then.
Yeah, and even then. Now, that being said, there is something that I wanted to share, which was this amazing Thomas Sowell quote that deals with equality specifically. And it reads, if there is not equality of outcome amongst people born in the same parents and raised under the same roof, why should equality of outcomes be expected or assumed when conditions are not so comparable? Thomas Sowell. What he's basically saying is you can have different outcomes amongst people in the same household, your children. So how can we enforce that across society? That is my biggest gripe with socialism, and happens to also be a good puzzle piece fit argument for Islam, right? How do they treat everyone different within Islam? I don't know. Take a look at the way they treat their children or their wives, or there's a definitive social structure within Islam itself where reference has to be paid to certain people. Drives me nuts.
Real quick, Sandra Casey said, I love your family, love Leroy and Amy also.
Thank you.
$15. Thank you so much. Sorry we missed that Leroy is not getting the updates, or he's drinking too much. Shane Blakely says, it's been years. I've seen you on Facebook and stuff, Shane. I didn't know you hadn't been watching the show. It's good to have you home, man. Thanks for being here.
Now, when I had the quote window open, it was covering up part of the screen. My apologies.
You're drinking too much. So I appreciate it, Shane. Thanks for being here. We love you. Leroy's on point. Leroy's great on point. And often makes very good points. Listen, it comes down to this. Christianity and the Muslim religion share some similarities. They're both monotheistic, right? They're monotheistic. They both believe in one God. That's the way it works, okay? But that's where the similarities end. And those similarities are absolutely contradictory of each other. And they're contradictory because when you take other beliefs, Christianity talks about false deities, false gods, false prophets, and to repudiate those things, right? And the Muslim religion does not say that. The Muslim religion says that if they don't believe this, that you kill the ones that don't. There's the difference. Andrew Bryant donated $20. Howdy, folks. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you. So when the core values of religion, one is based on love and one is based on hate, you can say that compulsion is rejected in the Quran, and yes, it is, but that doesn't mean that the underlying actions, and when you implement Sharia law, which is essentially not just a theocratic doctrine, but it's a criminal doctrine, and some of these Sharia law points are so very excessive, it's antithetical to Christianity. Because if somebody steals in Saudi Arabia, they lose their hands. If somebody steals in the United States, the first question we ask is, why are they stealing? And we have to find out the reason why. And if it's for hunger and it's for food, they are treated very differently than they would in Saudi Arabia, where they lose their hands or they lose their life, or they get a sentence that is excessive, or they get beaten or whipped. And in the United States, the first question we have is the presumption of innocence, and that is the why. We ask the why, and the reason why we ask the why is because every single person is afforded the presumption of innocence in that, and that is a form of love. It is a form of everyone is created equal and therefore deserves the same rights inherent in the Constitution by our Creator and natural and God-given rights. This is a staple of Western society, and it is completely contradictory to the Muslim religion. Go ahead.
1,000%, and I agree with you. And there was something that I wanted to add to that. When If I get caught stealing here in the United States, if I go to my local priest and say, Father, I have sinned, I have done this, he will effectively, through the hands of God, forgive me. He will tell me to do some Hail Marys. So we'll say, you need to repent and do this thing, maybe pay it back in some way. If you do that in a Muslim society, then that very same holy person, that very same representative of that faith, will then walk me out, have me buried up to my shoulders, where I will be promptly stoned to death. Right? And that's the difference, is that here in the Catholic religion, in the Jewish religion, when we interface with our religious representatives, they're there to help build us up, to guide us, to say, look, you messed up. This is how you can repent. But over there, it's not about that. That punishment that we're talking about is severe. It's so severe that it makes me wonder, well, what kind of lesson are you teaching? Like, if I do this, I'm gonna be killed. I'm going to die if I offend this law. I don't think that is a religion of love. To me, that sounds the opposite.
No.
We have a religion of love. That sounds like a religion of fear.
It's not worship. It's a form of being a zealot. They're religious fanaticals. Okay? Everything that they do, every course of action that they do is through God. Everything. And their punitive justice is contradictory to Western society. Their justice is everything is acceptable under Allah's actions. And the prophet's actions during their times makes what we do justified. And it's antithetical to Christianity, where Jesus, God, his judgment is for him alone. It's not for man. Now, we are supposed to uphold standards, and we're supposed to preach the word of God, and we're supposed to hold man accountable to the lessons that we have learned through Christ. And from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and the things that we have learned as a people who knew nothing, for a people who have learned what mortal sin is, and learned how to repudiate sin and repudiate evil, and try to live a good and virtuous life, even though none of us will ever fulfill God's wishes for us, ever. And that's why Jesus stands before him in front of us, so we are pure. We understand he died for our sins. The price has been paid. But that judgment is reserved for God alone. And the judgment through the Muslim religion is passed through based upon the prophet's words and based upon Allah's words and applied and essentially delved out by the followers. That is antithetical to our belief structure. And the things that we do are not in the name of God. The things that we do are in the name of our laws and our morality that we have established for every single person's individual rights. And when you violate those rights, there are consequences, but not in the name of God. That is the difference between our moral code and the theocratic principle of justice that is the Muslim religion and what Arabs preach. It's a different type of religion. That is why they're not compatible.
Real quick, if I may, Tommy Cawthorn made a really great point. It says that their religion makes so they have no free will in a way. And yes, that is true. Our religion, however, and I wanted to point that comment out specifically because I feel this deep in my bones. Our religion allows for us to have free will and to learn from those mistakes. God wants us to grow, and a lot of times the only way to get that growth that he wants from you, he wants you to be the very best version of yourself. Unfortunately, the very best way to do that is to fail sometimes, right? To learn from your mistakes.
Right.
God wants that from us. So when we're talking about free will is a tool that God uses, our God, the only God, that God uses to help us grow as people, whereas free will in the Muslim society is a one-way path to get stoned. And I don't mean the good way.
And one more thing. A lot of people consider Christianity to be the tax man. Well, there's no law that says you have to pay your taxes. Don't. Just, choose not to. Well, sure. But then you'll go to jail and you'll lose your home and everything else. That's not an incentive for me not to pay the taxes. So people are saying, well, if I don't worship God and I don't follow God, I'm going to go to hell. Well, that's not what it says. If you don't follow the Quran and you don't follow the Prophet Muhammad and Allah, you will be castigated into obfuscation. No, that's not the word. Obscurity. You'll be casted into obscurity, and you'll be punished ritualistically on terra firma. If you repudiate God and you refuse God, you're just not granted entry. And whatever that stage is before the kingdom of heaven, you will most certainly be relegated to. It's almost like saying, I want to go to Disneyland, but I'm not going to pay the fee. Well, you're not going to Disneyland, but the fee has already been paid. You have a free ticket. All you have to do is proclaim your love for God. That's all you have to do. That's all he wants from you. He wants your love, and you will receive eternity. But with that love, there's a series of things that you need to do to recognize Jesus Christ as your Savior. That's not a difficult thing. It's the acknowledgement that you're a sinner. It's the acknowledgement that he died for your sins. It's acknowledgement that Christ is eternal. And you want to live your life vicariously through his word. And you will do that. And you will ask for forgiveness. And you will repent for your sins. And that price has been paid. But if you repudiate him, if you speak ill of him, if you bear his name in false witness, if you use him for your own personal gain, well, then you don't get the ticket, man.
Right.
And that's on you because it's already paid for, yo.
Yep. That's a violation of the third commandment.
It's just, this isn't a hard thing. It's free will. You don't have to listen. I know people are like, well, I don't have to pay taxes. Yeah, well, yes, you do. Because otherwise you lose everything. God isn't going to take away your house because you don't accept him or don't love him. God is going to put things in front of you that will challenge your faith and challenge your beliefs and test you. Those trials and tribulations are a part of the deal. And if you wanted a perfect world, well, then we shouldn't have rejected it. We had it. You're like, well, I didn't have it. Yeah, I understand. But sin isn't one person's responsibility. It's now a part of the package. And every single one of us are responsible for it. That's just the way it works. And if you want to go back and say, well, it's Adam and Eve's fault, sure, you can say that. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there together, and we're going to lose it together, is what my point is. That's my point. Is we're going to get there together, or we're going to lose it together. And that's really that's the best and easiest way that I can say it. And it may not be pastorly, it may not be, words coming down with tablets and Sinai, but this is what I'm giving you is we're going to fail together or we're going to succeed together. Sorry, Leroy, go ahead. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Let's wrap it up. We've hit goal. We've got just a couple other little things, and then we're gonna call it. I do want to watch two things. One is I want to watch JD Vance just go scorched earth, and it's back to the Erika Kirk thing, and it's very well put. And the second thing is Bill Maher on Israel. And listen, I gotta love. You know what? I haven't prayed for Bill Maher, but maybe I should. because this man, if anyone outside of Bill Maher, if I can get into faith and belief and start down this path, gosh, maybe Bill Maher can. And he is probably one of the most, he's not an atheist. He just is like, I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. And he mocks God. He does.
Have you ever seen that movie he made called Religulous?
Religulous, yeah, many times.
Yeah, good enough movie.
It's a great movie.
But
wonderful
the
movie.
messaging was really disturbing, and yeah.
But is it? I mean,
no. It's meant to make you question, which is fair enough. But I don't know. It's just to your point, some of the stuff that he references in there is a little on the degrading side. It's a little it makes fun of religion in a lot of ways.
I think he makes fun of the human prescriptions castigated upon religion.
That's fair.
That's what he tears into. He believes Jesus walked the earth. He believed that Jesus was a good man. He believes that Jesus had an insight that was better than other people, and he could have been a natural healer or someone who understood the finer points of a calm hand. He recognizes those things, but he does not recognize the Holy Trinity. He does not recognize that there's a place in heaven, eternal life, because he says he does not know. I understood Religulous because there's been a lot that have been declared by human beings in the name of God, and I think that is what he challenges the most. I agree with you. He also mocks God in a lot of ways, but he also asks questions that a Sunday schooler child asks.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has sat down and given him an answer that he can understand, which is the greatest thing that anyone could do for Bill Maher. Can I say this? And when Charlie Kirk sat down with him, I thought Charlie fell short on this. Charlie Kirk seemed to be watching the Yankees pinstripes a little bit when it came to Bill Maher, and I think Charlie should have been Charlie, and he should have said, Bill, everything you think and everything you say is completely okay. We've all been there. From a young age to an older age, our faith has dwindled, or maybe we didn't have enough faith at all. But you are okay for thinking the things, and I am not going to judge you for thinking them. I just want to have a conversation with you, and I want to try to answer questions that you may have that you haven't been able to get an answer to. And these aren't my answers; these are God's, to the best of my ability. If someone did that to Bill Maher, I think Bill Maher would be like, "Holy shit! You just said what to me?" Go ahead.
Did you ever see that interview that he did with, and it was in Bill Maher's basement, but he did something similar with Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson, after Bill Maher had questioned him about the whole religious thing, Jordan Peterson goes into one of the stories of Jonah, for example. And Bill was actually like, you got me. Like, I understand the point of the story. And it was really kind of a profound moment, because it's not that he absolutely addressed it with some level of comedy, but you could see that there was some inner workings, some gears going on behind his eyes that said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense.
They're colloquial stories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people don't understand is I never understood. The burning bush and Jonah and the whale, David and Goliath. Come on, this is stupid. They're colloquial stories. I mean, the word of God, we would have to assume that God is all-knowing, God is all-powerful. Human emotion is beyond him, even though Jesus lived through the Holy Trinity and Spirit, and those emotions had to translate to God, and God has created all, so therefore he understands the complexities of human emotions. But I don't think God specifically feels jealousy. I don't think God specifically feels, certain human emotions based upon mortal coils, I think he can conceptualize because he's the creator of all and understands them, but I don't think he has them himself. If that's the case, well, then we don't understand the word of God. If we did, then God would not need to teach us these lessons, and God would not need to have the prophets, and God would not need to create the Bible. We would simply understand the word of God, and we never would have betrayed God's word or betrayed God over the millennia that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, what makes us think we can comprehend his words? Would he have needed prophets? So my point is that when we talk about the word of God and we're using colloquial stories, those colloquial stories are used to bridge the gap of our inability to understand and comprehend a deity of God's magnitude. And so he brings us stories and brings us prophets and brings us human people who have recognized his greatness and also his fury and his love to tell us these stories. And these stories are used in a way that we can understand. Do I believe that there was Jonah and the whale? Do I believe that there was a burning bush? No, I probably don't. But I do believe in the subcontext of those stories, based that colloquial communication is what we do with children. We can't teach them the encompassing thoughts of right and wrong at that age. So we teach them stories. We teach them proverbs. We teach them fairy tales to help them understand in a way that's fictitious, but also has very serious consequences into what morality and love bring. Am I going way down the rabbit hole here?
No, I think that's spot on. I think that a lot of the stories are intended to convey something that is difficult to distill down, and you would probably lose your audience if it were presented with just black and white words. If you turn it into a story, even if there's some dressing on that story, maybe it just comes across better. Maybe it's more easy to metabolize for maybe a younger brain. Yeah, I think that's fair.
So it's interesting. Somebody talked about the proficiencies, I think is what they said. And I don't think that's the word we're looking for, the three proficiencies. I think we're talking about the Holy Trinity, right? So there is one God, but it's monotheistic. There's not three. And the best way that I can describe it is like, I'm going to try my best. I'm not perfect. I'm not a theologian, and we're going to be out of here in just a few seconds, but I'm certainly not a theologian. But the Father is the one who made everything, right? That's because God shows himself in three ways at the same time. He shows himself as the Father, the one who made everything in existence, the Son, which is Jesus, okay, and God who came to earth so we could know him, and then the Holy Spirit, which is God with us, helping and guiding us every day through everyday life. So it's the only way I can describe it to people is like the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas future, and kind of presenting all a very similar message, but in very different ways. Does he present himself? Those. Robert says they are true stories. So that's fine. I'm not here to make and question anyone's religion. If you believe that Jonah lived inside of a whale for that's Maria donated $13.91. Thank you, Marie. Love you.
Thank you, Marie.
That's fine. And that brings us to an even 400. Thank you. I'm not here to question that. This is my own personal belief. I believe that colloquial stories are translated throughout Aramaic, through Hebrew, through Greek to English, that there are things that have been lost. Even Spanish, there are stories that could sound more grandiose than they were. I think the resurrection and the crucifixion are enough for me, right? I don't need any more proof that Jesus exists, that he rose from the dead and the resurrection took place, simply by the personal accounts and the hundreds of accounts and statements and people willing literally to go to the cross and sacrifice themselves based on a lie. I just don't buy into that. That's all I need. I don't need to hear about a bush. I don't need to hear about a whale. I don't need to hear about any of those things to believe, because I know enough about communicating from a simple podcast, how difficult it is to get my message across and have someone recite it back to 5 or 6 other people. There's going to be inequity. There's going to be imbalance. There's going to be inconsistencies in the statements. That's my point. That's all I'm trying to say. Go ahead.
I'm going to help Matt out.
Please.
It's not the stories that are important so much as the lessons within.
Right. And that's what I mean by colloquial statements.
Yeah.
Colloquial stories. They're stories with metaphors. They're stories with examples to make it easy to understand and comprehend. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say. And I can't tell you if it's true or not. Here is Bill Maher I want to show this, and I want to thank everybody for the donations tonight. Been amazing. Great show. It's so cool to see all of our videos working and everything, and just the show be smooth. Here's Mar on Israel. Watch this. Listen to this, please. Don't analyze so much, Matt. Just read. Sometimes I think the Bible is difficult for highly intellectual. I'm not analyzing. I'm giving you my interpretation of what I've understood and what I've read. That's analyzation is that I'm trying to tell you what was said and alter from its intention. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not trying to give you my interpretation. I'm trying to connect the dots based upon what I understood and my best version without offending people. So I guess I could say it's not analyzation. It's presenting what I understand and mixing it with my responsibility on this show to try to engage in conversation around these subjects without treading upon the word of God. That's not analyzation to me. You know, analyzation is looking at something saying, okay, here's the facts, here's my breakdown, here's the logistics, here's what I've deduced from what I've seen. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is telling you based upon what I've read and what I understood and trying to put it into words to help people close the gap on their understanding and misunderstandings of the word. I don't know if that's analyzation more than it's pragmatic dissemination, I guess is what I'm looking for. I think there's a difference. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, real quick, can I just throw a comment out there?
Yeah, I need you to.
One of our viewers, Loretta Lewis, posted a comment that says, as children, we talked about the holler to church. And I remember to stand up on stage and say, blessed are the meek because they will inherit the earth. Loretta, this is, don't leave the channel right now. It's a great comment. But Jordan Peterson actually talks about the meek, the quote unquote meek, and how that term has evolved over time. And back when it was written, the meek meant something very different than how we define it today. So please look that up. It was a Jordan Peterson video. Just if you just Google that along with the meek shall inherit the earth, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Sorry, that's all I have.
No, don't ever be sorry, because this statement is huge and it's beyond me and people like Michelle and people like Paul and the people in this show and Kevin and even Amy and Josh who really got me on the path towards God. I'm not an expert, and I'm not even remotely pretending to be. So for me to analyze something would mean that I'd have to have some sort of expertise. I am a student of this. I am a casual learner of this. So in no way, shape, or form am I saying that these stories don't have some semblance of truth. And let me present it to you when I say it. Maybe it's because I'm losing people on the word colloquial, which a lot of people don't even know what the fuck that means. Pardon my French. It's talking in a normal conversation. So if I was to say to Leroy, I'm going to leave now, right? You're very, very clear on what I'm saying. I'm going to leave now. Right now, I'm leaving.
Right.
But if I said I'm going to head out, it's a very different thing. I'm going to head out. Well, when are you going to head out? And how long are you going to remain? And when you head out, do you mean you're just going to go to the bathroom? Or are you going to? So colloquial is a very casual way of telling a story that may not be completely accurate unless you have the crib key or the Enigma code breaker or the language or a brief or small modicum of understanding of the person's intent. So when somebody says lived inside the belly of a whale for 3 days, well, what is 3 days? And was it a whale? And was this an old man in the sea? And was this on a boat? And was it swallowed by, like, there's so many different variables. That's what I mean by their colloquial stories, that without being there, without seeing it, things could be lost in translation, and things could be the contradictions that you would say are in the Bible, like a mustard seed of faith or turn the other cheek, or an eye for an eye, seem like contradictory statements, but unless you use them in the context of the chapters of the book and follow along and read it in its entirety, you might make assumptions that something may not be real simply because you do not understand it in its simplest form. That is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, good, because we're done with it. Here is Bill Maher on Israel. You have to watch this, then we're going to get the hell out of here.
In 1950, the little town of Bethlehem was 86% Christian. Now it's overwhelmingly Muslim. And that's my point tonight. Things change. To 2.3 billion Christians, there can be no more sacred site than where their Savior was born. But they don't have it anymore. And yet no Crusader army has geared up to take it back. The city of Byzantium became the city of Constantinople, became Istanbul. The Irish had the entire island to themselves, but the British were starting an empire, and, well, the Irish lost their tip. After World War II, 12 million ethnic Germans got shoved out of Russia and Poland and Czechoslovakia because being German had become kind of unpopular. And no one knows more about being pushed off land than the Jews, including being almost wholly kicked out of every Arab country they once lived in. Yes, TikTok fans, ethnic cleansing happened both ways. People get moved, and yes, colonized. Nobody was a bigger colonizer than the Muslim army that swept out of the Arabian desert and took over much of the world in a single century. And they didn't do it by asking. There's a reason Saudi Arabia's flag is a sword.
And this is, I have talked about this, and when you look at the 12th century and you look at Europe, people don't understand that what's happening now has happened before. As Muslims took over Europe, Muslims took up and came out of Africa, and this is happening again. And it's because of displacement. It's because of ethnic cleansing. It's because of power grabs. It's because of power vacuums. And this is why it's so important to know your history. So I just remember when I did talk about this, and I talked about the expansion of Muslims, and I talked about this with the older millennial, and I said, bro, this is in history. This has happened before. You need to read your history. And he goes, hey, I'm a history major. I have a degree in history. And I'm like, how in the fuck do you have a degree in history? And I'm sitting here educating you on the expansionism of Muslim religion, that it's happened multiple times throughout history, and most recently in Europe. And I don't understand why I have to tell you this if you have a degree, which is why I questioned him. I always love it when people say, oh, I have a degree, or I read all the time. Really? Well, then how come you don't?
That's an appeal to authority that doesn't necessarily play well.
Right. Watch this. It's beautiful. This is amazing.
Kosovo was the cradle of Christian Serbia. Then it became Muslim. They fought a war about it in the 90s, but stopped. They didn't keep it going for 75 years. There were deals on the table to share the land called Palestine in 1947, 93, 95, 98, 2000, 2008, and East Jerusalem could have been the capital of a Palestinian state that today might look more like Dubai than Gaza. Arafat was offered 95% of the West Bank and said no.
No.
The Palestinian people should know your leaders and the useful idiots on college campuses who are their allies are not doing you any favors by keeping alive the river to the sea myth. I mean, where do you think Israel is going? Spoiler alert, nowhere.
Nowhere.
It's one of the most powerful countries in the world with the $500 billion economy, the world's second largest tech sector after Silicon Valley, and nuclear weapons. They're here. They like their bagel with a schmear. Get used to it. And what the media glosses over is it's hard to negotiate when the other side's bargaining position is you all die and disappear. I mean, the chant from the river to the sea. Yeah, let's look at the map. Here's the river. Here's the sea. Oh, I see. It means you get all of it. Not just the West Bank, which was basically the original UN partition deal you rejected because you wanted all of it and always have, even though it's indisputably also the Jews' ancestral homeland. And so you attacked and lost, and attacked again and lost, and attacked again and lost. As my friend Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you? Look at what Mexico used to own, all the way up to the top of California. But no Mexican is out there chanting from the Rio Grande to Portland, Oregon, because they chose a different path. They got real and built a country that's the world's 14th biggest economy now, because they knew the United States wasn't going to give back Phoenix any more than Hamas will ever be in Tel Aviv.
You know, I
like Bill.
I love, dude, I have been a student of Bill Maher as long as I've been a student of Mike Rowe. And I find that, and here's the thing, as I've been a student of Thoreau, and I've been a student of Mark Twain, and I've been a student of Tennyson, and I've been a student of Shakespeare, you can learn something so much from the people you disagree with. And everyone hates Bill Maher so much because he likes drugs and he likes to drink. But you know what? He is a free spirit and he is choosing free will. And the thing is he doesn't condemn you for your ideas. He's just asking you not to condemn him for his. So I have to appreciate who he is. Leroy, I want you to have a comment on that, but I know that we're in alignment on this. This is the one I want you to watch, and I'm going to let you close this out because there's so many times that you inspire me. And a lot of people don't understand our conversations, and they say, you know, Matt gets really excited when Leroy talks. It's because I respect him and I respect his opinions, and he has my pen. He can speak for me. He can write for me. And the beautiful mind, I've made this comparison before, where Russell Crowe, as a young kid, sees a professor receiving the pens from his peers, and he goes, what is this? It's not something that truly happens, but it doesn't matter. It's still a beautiful analogy or metaphor. And he says, well, those professors are giving their pens to this retiring professor. And essentially what it's saying is, you can speak with your pen will speak for me. I'm surrendering my voice to you because your voice is so powerful that you can write for me, and I'm okay with whatever you say. And at the very end of the movie, In a Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe's there, and they're thinking about giving him the Nobel Peace Prize, but they're afraid because he's a paranoid schizophrenic that he'll embarrass the Nobel laureates. And all of a sudden, all the professors stand up and drop their pens at his table 50 years later, saying, you can speak for me. And it's a beautiful, I got goosebumps thinking about it. So Leroy can have my pen anytime he wants it, because
thank you.
I truly care about what he says. So when he speaks, it gets me excited, and I tend to jump in. This one's for you. I found it, and this is yours. You end the show. You have earned it. Here it is.
But so Erika's struggling with this, and of course that's terrible, unspeakable. Most of us could not even put ourselves in her shoes, while at the same time, you know, she's trying to make sure that Charlie's legacy doesn't die. And in that context, everybody is attacking her over everything, and they're lying about her, and it's one of the most disgraceful things that I've ever seen in public life. And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life as a political leader, and I will tell you that the people who tell you, I was there with her, I was holding her hand, my wife was hugging her while we loaded Charlie's body onto Air Force Two and said the Lord's Prayer, the people telling you that Erika wasn't grieving her husband are full of shit. And we need to be honest about that fact. Excuse my language. My wife says I got to work on my language. She's been telling me that for 12 years, and it still hasn't taken. But the thing is,
he's a Marine.
When you become a public figure, the natural thing, and I've talked to Erika about this privately, is a ton of crazy people say a ton of things about you that simply aren't true. But the thing that makes it so egregious with Erika is that she's a grieving person who's trying to carry on her husband's legacy. And look, we all do things that are wrong. If you want to, criticize Turning Point USA for not taking this position or having this political disagreement, or maybe it should do this or that, that's all above board. But to say that Erika Kirk wasn't grieving her husband on that day, to say that Erika Kirk was somehow complicit in it, is so preposterous and so disgusting. And it's one of the things that has broken, I think, the American public conversation of the last 6 months. I mean, Andrew, we could talk about this for a long time. Charlie's absence, I felt it so many times in so many different ways. There have been so many times where I wanted to call Charlie and say, man, you've got to call this person, or man, you've got to put this event together so we can help this candidate, or just to bounce ideas off of as a friend. There have been so many ways in which I felt that void, but one of the ways in which I felt that void is that it's like the response to Charlie Kirk dying, the response to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated by a left-wing furry lover, is the response should have been, let's go after left-wing violence and terrorism. Let's defund the networks of left-wing violence and terrorism. That's what we've been doing in Washington, D.C., and that's what we've been fighting for every single day. Savannah Hernandez, of course, was assaulted in Minnesota a couple days ago. I talked to Cash.
I think you got what you need. So I'm going to let you take that. So you've got the time is yours. You've actually got a full 2, man. So go after it.
First of all, I love JD Vance. JD Vance, he has not let me down yet, right? And that's a statement, because he is from about 2 exits south of where I live. He's from Middletown, Ohio. And I live just north of there. I actually went to go see him when he was running for vice president, and we couldn't even get in the door because it was so packed. But when he's talking about Erika, or maybe when he's, kind of in the shadows trying to address Candace, like he's not addressing her directly, it's an indirect statement. While Erika is, to his exact words, honor her husband's legacy, right? Think about Candace's motivations. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it directly. Think about Candace's motivations. If Charlie Kirk was your friend, then why would you attack the woman who is the wife of your BFF who is trying to honor that legacy? It makes zero sense. So that's how you know that Candace's motivations aren't pure. They're not as forthcoming as one might say. I think that she is just in it for the button clicks and to get enough drama going on the show so that everyone stays attuned, so that every time when she logs in and she says, this just in, we have more, we're getting so close, folks, just like that video that we saw earlier in the show that was very funny. I take that as for real. Because the one thing that I would not do, if one of my friends' husbands, wives passed away, I wouldn't attack that spouse and make a bunch of claims that you have no evidence for, none. Every time we've ever seen Candace try to explain anything, it has always been, well, there was a plane flying in the area of the time of Erika's meeting with so-and-so. And so therefore, Saturn lined up with Mars on this day, and she is responsible for Charlie Kirk's death. And that is about the level of crazy that you're dealing with. Rather than go through all of those secondary motions to try to embarrass Erika Kirk, right? Leave the grieving widow alone and just do your show. Address things like policy that were once great. Personal attacks are a tool of the left. I firmly believe that. When you don't have moral ground to stand on to address policy in an intellectual and meaningful way, people lacking those capabilities will attack personally. That's all I had. That and one other section. When while I was going off just now, my wife sent me a text. Apparently, Eric Swalwell, even though he has dropped out of the race and is now this defamed individual because he got caught, sleeping around and potentially rape charges. Apparently, folks, he gets to keep his pension and keep his congressional benefits. So this guy who is now ashamed and defamed, and potentially still has to go through several criminal charges, he gets to keep his pension as a representative. That's terrifying.
First of all, great exit, great analysis of the JD Vance speech. Thanks for the information. I also have something and want to do this. This was sent to me by Barry. We're going to cover it tomorrow. Fairfax School Board just voted to eliminate Veterans Day and voted to keep Indigenous Peoples Day as its official holidays. This is true. Libs of TikTok posted it. We're going to talk about it tomorrow in detail. I've got some other information. I want to address this. Jason Copeland, look at Erika's parents, who they work for. I already know who they work for. I know that Erika's mother worked for GE for 20 some odd years, and her father was a defense contractor. I also know in a retired status or current status, there's over 18 million people who work for the federal government. And that's not including military. I worked for the government. He worked for the government. I worked with IDF. He inadvertently worked with IDF. So here's the thing. I can answer your question. I know who they work for. The question is when did you find that information out? And why did you not care before? Why do you care now? So that's my question to you. Let's see if you'll answer it. I'll repeat it. I answered who they work for. When did you find out who she worked for? And why didn't you care before Charlie Kirk was murdered? because you didn't care because it wasn't important to you. You've been sold a narrative. You've been sold information that you believe somehow creates some sort of nefarious co-conspiracy that Erika Kirk works for Mossad or Erika Kirk is a Jew lover or whatever. And you are trying to go ahead and connect those dots. Really, the only thing you should care about is that she's a grieving widow, but you're trying to make exception to that. You're trying to sell a narrative to this. You want some sort of nefarious compliance with her because you've been told that. So, Jason, I can think for myself. You've demonstrated multiple times on this show that you're unable to think for yourself. So I'm asking you to think for yourself and tell me why you didn't care beforehand. You won't answer that question. And just like everyone else, especially even the people who hate Jews, they won't answer those questions because they can't. They can't tell me the day that they decided that Jews were bad. They can't tell me that time. But I can tell you when I uncovered when evil was wrong. I can tell you when I uncovered life is important. I can tell you the first time I made love to a woman. I can tell you the first time that I found out that stealing was wrong. I found out the first time that my mother was toxic. I can tell you the day and time. But you can't tell me when you had this aversion towards the Jews. Why? Well, I can. It falls around the time of October 7th. And it falls around the time that you started believing these things, and then the faces of people slipped, and you started hearing these conspiracies, and you decided to go ahead and participate in them without free thought of your own, but to take someone else's ideas that have been actually spread since the 1940s, 1936, 1938. We've already done this. This has happened multiple times, 135 some odd times this has happened towards Jews. And you're doing something that has been passed down through history for 3,200 years to blame these people for just about everything in your life, but you can't tell me why. You can just tell me that you feel this way. So you asked me a question about Erika's parents. I answered it. You answer my question if you can. You can't. You can't. Raytheon, I've taken money from McDonnell Douglas. I've taken money from Grumman and Northrop. I've taken money from Skunk Works. I've taken money from NASA. I had bonds in all three of them. My grandfather gave them to me because he worked for them. Does that make me a spy? Does that make me a Jew lover? Raytheon, you want to know the money that Leroy's taken and who he works for?
Don't do that.
What does that make us? It's funny. Just because somebody works for a company or just because someone has a history with a company doesn't make them evil. And learn how to spell it if you're going to pretend that you understand it. It's not, that's the big thing for me. If you can't even spell it, yet you're going to go ahead and you're very similar to the other people who pretend they know what they're talking about. And they come out and they go, this. And it's like, well, how can you talk about it if you can't even spell the word? Raytheon is R-A-T-H-I-O-N. It's R-A-Y-T-H-E-O-N, if I'm not mistaken. Did you win? Yeah. My man. Come say to everybody, tell everybody you won. Tell everybody what's up.
Hello.
So tell them what happened.
We won.
Yeah, I know, but details, bro.
Oh my God! Can you tell a story?
We scored more points than they did.
Leroy says, "Can you tell a freaking story or not?"
Okay. I really cannot. I'm not good.
Did you get a hit?
No.
Did you get a catch? Did you throw the ball? What did you do?
Not really. My elbow was bugging me, so coach just sat me.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Congrats on your win.
Congratulations, though, buddy.
Congrats that you won. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up right now. But I'll just say this isn't to make Jason feel any other way. We've done this 1,000 times, it seems, since October 7th. And I still can't find the one reason why somebody can tell me why their personal grievances with Jews matter. They can't tell me. They can tell me they can tell me about the USS Liberty. They can tell me about the dancing Jews. They can tell me about the Rothschilds. They can tell me about the
She was the first one to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, you can tell me about the Bolsheviks. You can tell me all these things, but you can't tell me why you have a personal affront towards the Jews. In fact, you probably don't even know any Jews. So I will say this. I know a lot of Jews. I know a lot of Gentiles. I know a lot of Christians. I know a lot of Protestants. I know a lot of Muslims. I know a lot of every different sort. And I will tell you is that there is not one person or a group of them who represent them all. I base people on their individual characteristics, and yours are lacking because it's obvious you don't like Jews. And that's really your only motivation. You can't tell me why, though. And that makes you essentially, in my opinion, somebody who's emotional and not logical. I don't listen to emotional people. I've already got a wife. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Busy day, Thursday. We've got the Cougans in the house. It should be fun. J6 ran from the law. We're pardoned. Leroy, thanks for a great show. Thanks for staying in overtime for me, man. I love you and I appreciate you. We'll see you guys on Thursday. God bless.
Everyone
Good night.
take care of each other. Love you guys.
Thanks, Leroy. You're the best, buddy. Bye. Bye. Good job. Shit.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.